I can make the same argument that you're not indigenous to that land at some point in history. Everything is a reference point to some point in history. So it was just kind of ignorant to say we don't have land, we don't even have ancestral ties to this land, which is fundamentally false, because everything is in respect to a time point, a reference point in time. Black Americans, we are the most educated Black group in the world. Why are we the most educated Black group in the world? Is it because white people gave us this education? No. We had to figure out how to read and write through slavery. We did things in code. We were very tactful in just learning. Under slavery, you have Black people in slavery more educated, more literate than free people in Africa. Imagine that. We are enslaved and still able to self-educate ourselves under slavery. And you got Africans on the continent free and can't self-educate themselves. If we want to do some comparisons. And when we want to talk about economics, we have the Black Wall Street. We figured out how to keep money in our community. We figured out how to make inventions. We started our historically Black universities to teach ourselves. It is our ancestors that gave us the fortitude to be able to excel. While people want to look down on African Americans, but come to a country that we built along with our white counterparts. We built. What do a lot of these Africans have to show for their land? They didn't go through slavery. What is their excuse? What is their excuse? But they want to look down on us like we're little brother, little sister, when it should be the opposite. I want to give my boy Nagmeezy a moment to really kick stuff off, because we both got a lot we want to get off. I'm gonna give you the floor, bro.
All right, thanks, man, and salute to the whole chat. Salute to my people from Nagmeezy who is pulling up. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm streaming on my channel as well, so it's live. Feel free to tune in and chime in. You know what I'm saying? I don't really get on this YouTube thing like that. Like I said, about 7 months ago, on my birthday, the Nagmeezy channel will die. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do my little rounds now. You know what I'm saying? And this will probably be the last or a couple of last shows that I do. But ain't nothing I like cooking more than some African home cooking, right? So look, I've been dealing with foreign Blacks in New York City and now in Europe for a long time. And even if it starts good, there's always some underlying animosity right under the surface. And it can take something as small as a miscommunication, a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding about cultural issues, and then all the animosity bubbles to the top. At the end of the day, Black Americans, we are the premium Blacks of the world. If it's pop culture, if it's activism, if it's innovation, it's us. And I think a lot of Africans are scratching their heads like, how can these people, after going through what they went through, still outperform us? They would say, well, it's because you are under the white man. And then I'd ask, well, what's the official language of your country? And I guarantee you, it's a European language. So when they say and they try to throw shots at us, I just throw it right back and say, well, look, we were a numerical minority, and no matter how we got it, we're here. You guys are a majority in your own countries and been getting whipped on. A lot of Africans, and normally the South Africans kind of rock with us. So I think this person may be an outlier, but the talking points tend to be the same. It's you don't have no culture. You can't be racist because you don't have power in your country, and we have our own land. From a South African context, if you're familiar with Julius Malema, he was running on this whole kill the Boer energy, right? Well, let's give the land back to Africans. The reason why you got to give it back is because them whiteys yapped it from you. Okay, the Boer War, the first and second Boer War, were between English and Dutch people in what is now known as the Republic of South Africa, fighting over your shit while they had you in internment camps. So you can't get any more like punk and pussyfied than that. So when they have this smoke for us, I'm like, look, man, be smoky from Africa, right? Have that smoke from Africa and throw up your accomplishments. Because when it comes to accomplishments, there's not a black group on the planet that can hold a candle to black Americans.
Oh, that's facts. I'm gonna try to get to some of these chats. Jay, everything says because Africans with IQ higher than 80 leave the continent, the rest stay behind for more jobs. From Bill, they cry when the queen died. Yeah, you got. I mean, I don't know if you've seen this, but when Queen Elizabeth died, it was an image of this black woman just bawling at her knees, like Jesus died. And and some Africans don't see that as an embarrassment, you know. So this disagreement or this argument or whatever you want to call it, we were having the phrase that kept being repeated is Black Americans keep trying to make Africans feel how Black Americans feel. And the argument is we didn't go through the same issues you had with your respective colonizer. And so we don't necessarily have disdain for our colonizers like you do. And which is interesting and ignorant at the same time, right? So this is the true disconnect between a lot of Africans and Black Americans. Usually when we refer to Africans, we usually refer to Africans as our brothers and our sisters for the most part. Our brothers and sisters on the continent. We usually refer to all Black people as brothers and sisters anywhere in the world. Now, when you refer to someone as your brother and sister, you typically share the same pain they go through. That's why when we see atrocities happen against Black people across the world, or we see Haitians getting deported from the U.S., but other groups of people getting let in, we feel a certain way about that. When we see in Africa images of white people doing things to Black people in their country where they're where they outnumber them, we feel a certain type of way because we feel like you are our brothers and our sisters. But the fact that this woman said that she doesn't feel the same pain we do for our colonizer, she basically said that they don't look at us like our brother and sister.
But she would be correct in that because that's the reality. Especially, if you're gonna do the whole black brother and sister thing, then it would have to be extended to West and Central Africa. We ain't really got shit in common with South Africans except for how they lived under similar conditions under apartheid, right? But the Black American Randall Robinson of the Trans Africa Forum was very active in fighting against the apartheid regime. So we've been doing stuff for them in the spirit of brotherhood, right? And what happens is people have very short memories, and the disdain never really goes away. And like I said, it's right bubbling under the top. So that's why I'm at the reality that skin folk ain't kinfolk. You know what I'm saying? Like just because you happen to be black and the white man whooped on y'all too. Beyond that, what do we really have in common? We don't have much in common. But I want to address a couple of points about their land. Now, if this South African woman is from Bantu stock, you know that a couple of years ago there was this whole who are the real South Africans, where the Khoi and the San people were throwing up, they were throwing up their set in terms like we are the original South Africans. You guys were essentially colonizers from the Bantu expansion, if you believe in that theory of the Bantu expansion. So, what they say to us, we can say back to them if it ain't our land in America. We were there before it was called America. Before it was named America, before it was the United States, we were there. Obviously, we went there, as enslaved people, but we were there. You see what I'm saying? So it's our country. So, the funny thing is, this person is in America amongst Black Americans with this disdain for us. And that's why I say, like, I'm done. Like, I'll go to panels and roast because if you're going to stand up for Black America, you got to do it where they're talking crap about Black Americans. And those are the African panels. You'd be surprised at some of these Africans who actually they're proud of their slave trading and slave raiding past. And you made a good point about being empathetic. You didn't use the word empathetic, but that's what we are. When we see a Black South African getting put into a coffin and whimpering like a little girl when these two white people are stuffing them in a coffin, we empathize with that. And we're like, yo, nah, we don't like that. We like the energy of Julius Malema and that military militant type of mindset, right? We like that because we like, yo, get busy, But at the end of the day, we've got too many issues in our own country with our own people for us to be lending moral, financial support, and in my opinion, at this point, even empathy. At this point, I really don't care what's going on in your country because it doesn't affect me and mine. When there's people say, "Oh, well, it's only online." No, if you could be a fly on the wall of some of the conversations that non-Black immigrants to America, or at least Black people outside of America, and their thoughts and opinions on Black Americans, you'd cringe. So I'm just saying, you know what? Let them do them, and let us do us. We've never really been as a whole of a people on that worshiping white people shit. I've been to the continent of Africa, and I know a lot of Africans, and I'm telling you, the energy is different. Jamie's talked about in a comment because I had an issue with maybe you or me, I don't know who he was referring to, with an African, so they're all like that. No, we're not saying that all Africans think like that. Definitely not. But if you think about the conversations we've had as Black Americans, we don't really talk about Africans like that. We don't care about them. Like in everyday life, it's not like we wake up like, okay, so what's going on in South? We don't give a shit. We got our own things going on. So I think it's just time for let the jealous haters and people that have animosity toward us, let them just be mad and be mad away from their homeland. Maybe they miss home. This is why they're so upset and triggered. And maybe because the Africans haven't done shit on their own land. It was one of those countries that started with a Z, and the current president, ran on a ticket of giving the land back to the white farmers. And it might even be the same country with the white girl who won the beauty pageant thing. They and the black people um who had it when it was taken away from them from the white farmers didn't do shit with it. So when the white
Exactly.
farmers took it back, they lined up for jobs. And we constantly hear this Wakanda shit where like, oh, the Africans, we started agriculture. We taught the European and this and that. Y'all ain't teach people shit. Idi Amin, the East African, kicked all the Indians out. And then his economy went to shit because none of his people knew how to run the equipment. They didn't know how to run a country. They talk about Martin Luther King Boulevard in America. Well, you give me an African country that's led by Africans, and I'm gonna show you a shithole country.
You got this is you got I'm gonna use China and India, right? So China was pretty much a third world country, like what was it, maybe like 20 years ago? About 20 years ago, until they start learning the game and copying our shit and you know you know growing slowly. But China is like the second largest economy in the world. India India just launched a shuttle into space. They have been grinding for the last 15, 20 years.
How do you go from being the number one? Let me just put something into perspective for you. India, as a country, was the number one country, and Kaizo's in the chat. He knows where I'm going. The number one country for open defecation, and now they're launching space missions. Right? You know who
Hmm,
took over their place as the number one open defecation destination in the world?
what was that?
Nigeria. The ones that got the most smoke for us. Their country is literally and figuratively a shithole. And they're not putting anything into space. Matter of fact, most of their military equipment comes from Brazil, America, Israel, everything except Nigerian mines. But yet these are the smartest of the Africans and shit. Meanwhile, they're in South Africa where this lady's from getting their asses handed to them. So when we have to deal with people who are overtly hateful against us, then we got to throw up our accomplishments. And yes, you know what? This may at some point sound like the Paint Olympics, or at least a competition of the smartest retard or the tallest midget, because globally black people are suffering.
Right.
But we're at the top. So I don't want to hear shit from you. When you got a goddamn Dutch accent and you got it from your own country because the white man forced that on you. You got a song called "Kill the Boer" because the
They
Boer was killing you in your own country.
they took the Bible verse "Love thy neighbor" to heart. you know, we were, religion, for example, was beaten into our ancestors for the most part, and love thy neighbor was preached while somebody on a tree was getting whipped. You know, still love thy neighbor as I'm whipping you. But for some reason we did not hold on to that. We had enough sense to say we cannot love someone that is not displaying love to us. You
I
got
mean, we some of us still do that today. You have people talk about you know, showing love to Dylan Roof. You had that guy who, a white police officer, killed his brother, and he's like, I just want to give you a hug. And he was, I don't think they're Black American, but I'm not going to cap and say that we don't have those coons amongst us as well. But I will tell you that the coon concentration is a lot higher on the continent because they were typically, or their leaders anyway. We have to make a distinction between the layperson and the leadership. The leadership has been partners and lopsided partnerships with these European powers. And that's why they always see the white man as more powerful. And he's the one who writes the checks for them. How many times have you seen a black dude blow up at work like, man, fuck this place, I'm out of here. And then he'll figure out another way to get some money.
Right.
I've seen Africans, wherever I've worked, take the most crap because they're afraid to lose their jobs. So for them, it's profits over pride. With us, a lot of times it's pride over profits. And you can, in some terms, say, and in some instances, it's foolish pride because you may have things to pay. But at the end of the day, before I am a cook, a mechanic, I'm a man.
Exactly. I'm a man before anything.
Early.
Let me read the super chat real quick from Mega BISP. Appreciate the $5 super chat. He said a lot of Caribbean immigrants in the travel space refuse to bring up their real background. They love cosplaying as Black Americans. Keep cooking, fam. I will say I've heard this about South Africa, for example, that as much, not all, but the Nigerians that do have some disdain, I've heard a lot of them in South Africa, they try to talk with a Black American accent to get more access to women. So a lot of them can have so much smoke for us here, but then want to swag jack Black American culture for your own benefit outside of the United States.
It happens all over the place, brother. And when the real Black American shows up, it's like the cat's out the bag, and it ain't even like, yo, what's up, bro? It's really like, damn, this motherfucker here now, he's gonna mess it up for me. It's literally like that. I asked the guy before, like, yo, why the Africans don't show us no love? Like, they be acting like us. The brother told me, he was like, yo, they cosplay as us. He didn't use cosplay because at that point there was no cosplay. But he basically said that they were cosplaying as us. So when we come, we like kind of ruin the party. I don't know if it was Austin Holloman's video. He had, if it wasn't his video, I'm going to apologize. But there was somebody recently who had some sort of African, I think he was an East African, talk about, yo, what's up? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the yo, just kind of nigging it up, right? And I'm like, man, that's a horrible impression of what a Black American is, And the reason why, and he's not doing it from a place of malice. He's really trying to copy us. So a lot of times imitation is flattery, but a lot of times they go overboard. And then once you say anything that they don't like, then it becomes, well, you are a body bag and the people are killing you and this and that. Like that. This is my area of expertise, is cooking Africans on the issues in their country when they try to point out the shit that's happening to our people in our country. It's crazy. But you got heavy hitters from my channel here too. Shout out to four Black righteous folks home. She and I had a couple of big spirited debates. Her thing with me is that she feels I'm a softie on these Africans. I think if I go any harder, pause, I'm gonna be sounding like David Duke, because I don't hate Africans. I just don't I don't rock with anybody who don't rock with us. So yo, drop the link, man. You got some heavy hitters, and drop the link, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the link in the chat real quick. Copy and paste it. So give me your take on this. Now, when it comes for love for Zaddy, right? One thing I notice about Black American women, and we know this statistically, is that Black American women overwhelmingly do not date outside their race,
Right.
especially white men. And a lot of that is probably attributed to slavery and other things, other things as well. Now, Black women, our enslaved ancestors, went through being raped, went through all type of things, and so that attributed, to how Black women look at the white male counterpart from an intimate standpoint, for the most part.
What do you
Uh,
mean?
they're
You
not.
think that they went from being victimized to then looking at the white man as a sex object? I hope that's not what you're saying, brother.
No, I'm saying Black American women don't look at their white male counterparts
Okay. All right.
intimately. But you have, I see Somali. You know this person?
Yes,
Okay,
he's
okay.
cool.
All right. Africa, current Africa right now. You have women, not to the fault of their own per se, but you have women subjecting themselves, going to these Middle Eastern countries, and what is so troublesome about some of these women I spoke to, right? Like, for example, I've spoke to women in like a lot of different countries in East Africa, and a lot of them, they say, what, I'm going, I plan on going to Dubai. I remember a woman saying she's going to Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and like it just clicks to me, like, okay, I know what goes on in those countries. Either they get a shitty job, they holding your passport as leverage to get what they want from you sexually. And a lot of these women hear the stories and they still go ahead. They still decide to go there and be exploited to the most extreme levels. And so, not saying not you. We've heard stories of a black or women going to Dubai and getting pooped on for $25,000, but in general, our women won't subject themselves to that. And the last thing I'm going to say about this particular aspect is that they they wouldn't let a black man subject them to the level of exploitation, but they'll let these other groups of men do that. So, I guess I'm just trying to point out the love or need for Zaddy there versus as we see in in the United States.
All right. So I want to start with salute to Somali. What's up, bro? I want to start with I want to start with when you said and I'm agreeing with you that black women have been loyal to black men, right? There was a quote from Ice Cube. He said, "We started as gangster shit, and this the motherfucking thanks I get." Right. So black women have been loyal to black men for the longest, and you have in a lot of these manosphere, passport bro type of things, you have a lot of anti-black women rhetoric and hate. So if the tide is changing as it relates to black women, I think the black man has to hold that squarely on his shoulders. As far as the Africans and doing something very strange for some change, socioeconomic situations will cause people to do that, right? So I won't make fun of people who've been deleted, dropped off of the terraces. I saw a video of this man hung an African woman from her feet and then dropped her. There's campaigns about what happens to them in Libya and other countries as house help. A lot of them going to Dubai, doing a lot of strange things for change. So I won't make fun of that. I will say that there are economic situations in their countries that force them to do it. And there's a lot of our sisters that can't be forced to do that. You understand? But at the same time, we do have
Bro, don't lie.
we do have ghetto gaggers. Um,
Bro, don't lie to
uh,
yourself.
you know, so like I said, the women that do that, what I'm saying, I wish they didn't have to, but this is where we have to go back to.
Hello?
Yo, overwhelmingly, our women don't. Yo, who is this?
FBA Ghost, we hear you. I'm gonna
Bro,
mute
hold
you.
on.
And then
You got to let me finish and land my plane before he's. I think he was doing a sound check actually. Well, we can hear you, FBA Ghost. So I think that's why, as a whole, a lot of Africans aren't in a position to talk shit about FBA because their lives ain't popping like ours. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to do all that kind of crazy shit. If you're really fucked up in America, you can get welfare. You ain't got to go sell your ass in Dubai for that.
all right, I got
Yeah,
Somali in the
so
building. Oh, you could go ahead, bro.
hey, hey, brothers. I just because I was just listening to what you guys were saying, and a lot of it is very true. The
I don't
reason
mean
why
to
a
sound
lot of
like dark and macabre,
Hold
but
on.
I honestly think that when it comes
yeah,
Hold on.
Ghost. Yeah,
Oh, you can finish Somali. I'll unmute you. I'm gonna let Somali get his word out, and then you could chime in. FBA Ghost.
a lot of the reason why Africans like to disrespect you guys openly in your own country is because they feel that if they did disrespect you, it'll make them more American and more accepted by whites. And also, a lot of Africans, because I've heard this in Twitter spaces, they want to do what the Hispanics did in California to you guys as well. So a lot of these Africans who have this open smoke for you guys are very stupid and disrespectful. And it's weird the fact that because when we immigrate to America, 90% of the time we're always put in a black American area, and Africans who have means and who become rich in America move into affluent black American areas. So for Africans to have so much smoke for black Americans when we're in your organizations, we're in your HBCUs, we're in your areas, whether it's the hood or middle class or rich areas. It's just so stupid, man. My thing is to Africans who have that mentality, just go live around whites and Hispanics if you feel that you're so threatened or if black Americans are bad people. It's just a dumb mentality to have for Africans to have. That's all I want to say, brothers. Thank you very much.
Are you good?
fuckers who keep this damn country.
All right,
Hello?
FBA Ghost. You could go ahead.
Oh, my bad, my bad. I mean, can y'all hear me? I don't know if y'all can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I was wondering why because I wasn't seeing my thing move. But me personally, you know me. I go down to Uganda. I'm about to start my own channel, just me going down to Uganda and stuff like that, right? I've been there 3-4 times. When it comes to the African thing, bro, it's so many layers to this stuff, man. Because you got the passport situation, as in you said, right? Well, they have some of the Arab dudes go down there, not go down there, but they have other African either dudes or chicks. They'll set their own people up and send them out there. That's the shit that you don't see in the background, right? Like it's people out there like, hey, you want to come here, you want to make some money or whatever. They'll find some girl in the village or whatnot, right? And go to her and be like, hey, you look pretty good. You can make some money being a housemaid or something like that. They'll send her out there. She in a bunk bed basically like 5 other people, right? And they just, they out there pimping these girls out, especially what is it? What's the name? Who'd want to do the most of it? The little Indians down there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say with the president that they got currently in Uganda right now, but that dude, I don't know what he planned on doing because he did all the work that the previous president did to necessarily fortify the country. He destroyed in a process of probably like 30 years, 40 years. He probably destroyed all that, man. So when it comes to that, it's crazy, man. It is really, really, really crazy, and especially the worst chicks that you see that's over there in Dubai, man, are the Nigerians, bro. I'm not even gonna flex to you. It's the Nigerian chicks. They got the worst attitude out there. They got the worst everything out there. So that's when you know how fucked up it is on the continent, right? And what some of these people will do and willing to do to quote unquote get some money. But I'm also I'm not gonna be blind to it either, bro. Like when I look at it, bro, it's a whole bunch of women on this same bullshit. Like the white Zaddy love is a universal concept. You can go to anywhere from Asia and see the universal concept of the white Zaddy love. You can see that shit just on YouTube. Just type in black woman love white men, and it's just the most utmost whatever. Like I mean, that's why you got Texas. Texas is that's why you think Texas is got so many STDs. Think about it, bro. You got women going over there, coming back, bringing them STDs, and then fucking some local dude or something like that.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna go there.
Yeah, so like let me finish the Molly. So I'm saying like so when I see like I don't really too much give that leeway to black American chicks is that much more better. If actually I say they're probably the worst. They're just in a better financial position than the African woman, right? That's only the grand difference that I see in my personal opinion. But that's my personal opinion from what I've seen because I've been to Dubai, I've been to Uganda, I've been to Kenya, right? These are the places that I hang out frequently. I frequent these places on like a yearly basis. I go there either 2-3 months, so I go there like a week or so necessarily out the year. Like I'm going there constantly, at least 3 or 4 times. And these are the things that I'm seeing for when I'm going to like the stop of a point for there is Dubai or the EU, right? So these are the things that I'm seeing where I'm stuck with a fly over. You got chicks out there, trying to offer me some pussy, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to the girl I'm seeing right now. I ain't really trying to, get a little extra thing on the side, but you just gotta. That's why you gotta be connected. That's why I really think the connection or the internet is a good thing, and it's the bad thing because you got to educate these people because you had these people that go out to these countries and think it's sweet and it's not sweet, and they just end up figuring out it's a real jungle out here, and the quote unquote the jungle that you left ain't nothing like the one that you going into. So that's what I'm gonna say that much.
Okay.
Can I just say this because I just have to leave?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So also the fact is that our governments take a lot of bribes and money from these Arab countries. Because I know in Somalia, a lot of our women went there as like maids to the Gulf, and they were being abused and stuff. So what happened is that the Arab governments, the Gulf governments, gave the Somali government hush money to be quiet and to look away. So a lot of it is because of our own governments looking away from a lot of this abuse as well. Thank you very much, brothers.
Hey, Somali, I want to ask you a question, brother, before you go. Somali.
Okay. Oh, he hopped off already.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
I just want.
let me just Ben Yosef, salute to you, brother. Let me just acknowledge Ben Yosef, Kaiserian Empire, the African genius, to Niger, the African slave catcher. Salute to both of these people that probably saw the post on my channel. What's up? Welcome.
Yeah, shout out, man, and thanks, man. Good show.
Hey, what's up, Doc?
Yeah, I appreciate y'all coming up. I want to talk about something, and then I'll let you guys comment or respond to something that we've been talking about already. So I want to focus on the notion that Black Americans feel a certain way about Zaddy because we went through or we've experienced harsher treatment and had a more brutal history. And I want to push back on that because when I think about Africa, for example, let's talk about disease real quick, right? When you hear about Ebola, you associate that with Africa, right? We intuitively know that it just didn't just come out the sky in Africa, right? When we talk about the high HIV rates, typically, I'm quote unquote a passport, bro. Most of these countries, let's say Latin America, Africa, Asia, before the influx of foreigners visiting there, they pretty much had low STD rates. It wasn't high STD rates come from the influx of foreigners, and we know who's probably the most frequent foreign traveler to these countries. It's pretty obvious. So that is harsh in itself. The introduction of diseases. When the pandemic hit, everybody thought that Africa was gonna be hit the hardest. It was kind of like they was crossing their fingers, like yes, this is our opportunity to really come in and take over. But African was resilient against the pandemic. Food. We've all seen images of these companies, these charitable companies dropping off rice and grains, and then obviously they're giving them food that we Americans wouldn't even consume ourselves. We don't know what's into it. Medicine. A lot of secret experimental medicine has been experimented on different Africans, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Now, the argument is that these African leaders, they allow it to happen. Whether it's allowed or it's by force, the point is that cruelty has been put upon the continent. And those are just a few examples. And so I'm going to land and just say that I think the treatment towards Africans over the history of the last 600 years, or over the last 600 years, is far, in my opinion, is probably far worse than what we went through, slavery, Jim Crow, and still today, just by the results where we are today versus where they are today.
I don't agree respectfully. I think, I don't want to play. I just don't agree. All right. When you are putting a ship, and everything, we all know what happened to our ancestors. That's a little different than your leaders making horrible trade deals and stuff with people who ended up forcing their culture, language, and religion on them. They kind of asked for that, or at least the leaders asked for that, and then their people suffered behind it. That's a lot different than having no choice to be put on a ship, women taken advantage of, and I'm being very PG with that, lynched, hung. I don't even think it's a comparison because one is brought on by one's own people.
Saying that it's
Wow.
Send the footage to me, but then I redirected them and told them no, Malcolm was going to take it from here, send it to the Afro. You've got mail. That should be hitting the Afro Village.
All right, everybody mute up, please. Everybody mute up. But I'm gonna land my plane. I'm washing my shirt anyway.
Yeah, I'm muted. Greetings, Nakmizi. Interesting that you're streaming. You're not streaming for a long time. And greetings to everyone on the panel and to the chat and to the viewers.
Oh, can you admit your people's involvement in the slave trade for us, please?
Yes, we are clearly guilty as charged.
Thank you, brother.
That one is a fact. I think African Americans had it worse. You can say maybe the people that suffered on the continent in terms of numbers may be greater, but in terms of how the viciousness of the what was visited on African Americans, I don't think it's anything compared. And the then being dislocated from your distinct continent of origin, language, everything. The torture, it happened in DRC for a bit, but to be fair, it can get quite bloody on the continent. The whole tribes were wiped out. Sometimes 80% of tribes were wiped out. You see that, but that has happened to the African Americans sometimes too. When there is an uprising or a rebellion, you see that they kill, they go after a lot of them. So, but I think it's a lot more in your face and a lot more aggressive in terms of the approach they took with the African Americans are overseas, and you can tell just from the stories that you hear, and we hear tragic stories on the continent too. But anybody can easily tell that the African American one was on a different scale. If the continent experienced what African Americans experienced, I don't think we would be where we are today. We would have gotten our act together quickly and gotten ourselves out of the mess we are in right now. Because at least we have a continent to, call upon. Over 1 billion people. African Americans are basically surrounded by a greater majority. So anytime they do anything or they progress, you tend to hear about the stories of like Tulsa, or some other one. You hear stories of massacres and lynchings, and it's just we have seen it. We've seen them on TV, for crying out loud, and they literally don't stop. They've not stopped.
Let me ask you a question real quick, bro. You are you from what's your ethnicity?
I'm from Nigeria.
Nigeria. How do you feel about this white Zimbabwean woman winning, I guess, representing Zimbabwe? And I guess from what I heard is that it's been 20 years since Zimbabwe held a pageant, and and Zimbabweans were saying she was the most qualified. They was co-signing it. So from a Nigerian perspective, could this have happened in Nigeria as well?
Is she white?
Yeah.
Oh, if she's white, then I don't subscribe to that. But then again, there is always room for people that believe in the Martin Luther King kind of narrative, where they're like, it's about content of character, not about your race, about religion and culture and all that stuff. So there's always room for those kinds. And for me, it's neither here or there. And but it doesn't sound right that you have a majority population and they've not done this competition for a long time. The first person that won is a European person. Because I saw one of the cases in Brazil where these salsa stuff or carnival stuff they do. They normally select the winner for in terms of the women that represents the women as an ambassador. And this black lady won it for the first time. They literally went crazy in their country, and they got her removed from being selected as the face of kind of the carnival, like beauty queen. So you can see that other people don't take those things lightly, but we always like, oh, let's welcome everybody, Rainbow Nation and all that stuff. So that's how I see it. And you either accept it from the point of view that, okay, some people believe that, it's about content of character, but something that not being held for 20 years. Personally, I would have thought twice. Maybe they selected some terrible black women. Who knows? I don't know. I didn't see that.
Let me throw this in real quick, and then I want somebody else to chime in. It's amazing how American people, whether it's Black, Native American, for example, we all know what Thanksgiving. Hopefully, we know the true how Thanksgiving really came about. You had these pilgrims that landed, and the Indian Native Americans, they were just as friendly, as welcoming as our fellow Africans. And as soon as the night hit, it was a massacre, people getting shot in the back, etc., etc. And from that point on, I don't know who that. From that point on, it was always a saying. If you ever watch Western movies, the Indian always say, "Don't trust the white man," and that kind of perpetuated throughout through everyone for the most, through non-white people for the most part. That you can't be too trusting. You can't be too trusting. So what I'm trying to say is that American history, you only have to show us one time, and that was it. Africa continues to get the short end of the stick, stabbed in the back, and for whatever reason, kill a person with kindness is still their motto, and I just don't get it. So I want to get some thoughts from who haven't
Hey,
spoken yet.
brother.
Ben, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
was gonna make a comment right quick. I won't be long winded. I was gonna make two quick comments.
No,
Far as
go ahead.
as far as the Native American, American Indian, what's happening to them now? They getting their karma back. They own slaves too, so fuck them. And number two, I remember what Knock was saying. The Africans would say we're successful because of the white man. No, we're successful despite of the white man. This white man didn't give us IMF loans and handouts and shit like that. We had to get it from the mud. They made every law against us. It wasn't just the Ku Klux Klan or some white people who didn't like black people. It was us against the United States government.
That's
You see
true.
what I'm saying? We
Yeah,
had to.
exactly.
Exactly. We were the minority. No handouts, none of this land set asides, none of these loans that you guys get in Africa that you never pay back. Nobody was giving us nothing. So we made it in spite of this white man. And he knows that.
And
That's
and
all
you
I can
can
say.
also argue that Africa is still standing in spite of them. Did you see the video of the French former intelligence officer saying that Niger should be they should carry out destabilization operations against Niger in the secret? That he was saying it just yesterday on the news. So it tells you these are the things when people say that our communities are being undermined and Africa is being undermined. People think it's a joke. This is something that is real. This is why Africa is struggling. And our leaders are refusing to counter the actions these people are taking. Apart from Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso that have formed a kind of defense pact now. So you attack one of them, now you come after all three of them. So this is what they are doing now to try to reshape and reorganize themselves on the continent. And when somebody tells me that African American community have been undermined, no, it's a fact. It's not even like made up stuff. It's a fact. This is why everywhere you go, black people are not doing very, very well. And it's because of Africa, really. If Africa gets its act together, most of these problems people are having, you'll find that it will reduce. Because the moment anything happens, there will be retaliation from the continent, not just statements that they made, like with the John Floyd stuff. They'll just make silly statements as if it's going to matter to the police officers. You see what I mean?
Let me get Kaisorian Empire in real quick. Why do you think Africans don't want to listen to or take advice from Black Americans? If you did, brother.
Okay, there's a few reasons why, right? So first of all, most Africans low IQ. The average IQ of an African is 70. So what that means is they're still dealing with tribal issues. So for them, if you start telling them about this global issue of the white man, they just won't be able to relate with it in any meaningful way. So this is part of the issue. The typical African's mindset is set on money, right? They're living in poverty. So they haven't even reached the psychological aspect where they start considering, their preferences as a human being who is sovereign on this earth. The African is still just trying to survive. I'm talking about even the rich Africans. They don't have that psychological development where they can actually think about the higher level things in life, which is freedom, self actualization. So that's really the answer. Africans just aren't there yet, spiritually or intellectually.
Okay.
What do you think will get them there then?
Hey, is this the Somali brother or no?
No, he's not on here.
Okay, my bad, brother.
Why don't you ask him what he thinks will get us there?
Yeah,
He
what's the
says we are
question?
not. He says we are not there yet. Kezo, you said we are not there yet. So, what do you
Yeah.
imagine will be able to get us to
I'll tell
a
you
higher
what will
level?
get us there. Okay, here's the thing. Answering these sort of questions is difficult because I can tell you what will get us there, but I also know we won't do it. So to answer your question, there's no solution to this problem, but I can give you solutions which, would work only if you guys would adopt it. So let me give you an example, right? Black Americans are some of the most most educated African descended individuals in the world. That's a fact, right? They have so many skills that they can actually bring into an African country, invest, teach them about systems. If you come and walk in a typical African country, and I'm talking about 95% of the countries, you'll see open gutter sewers everywhere. Now, where I live right now, I moved into a nice, rich area. Everything is enclosed, no dusties around. I'll be showing it later on my channel. But the typical African country doesn't care about the comfort aspects. So, what's my point here? Black Americans can actually fill the gap when it comes to building a specific African country. However, the issue with Africans is they scam you, right? You saw what happened with the year return 2019 in Ghana, where instead of the government creating a system where Black Americans can come in, they can become, naturalized. They didn't even have to give them citizenship. They could give them, let's say, a residence permit easily without going through issues. Give them the ability to at least lease land for 99 years. What happened is the government knew that the foreigners could not actually lease land more than 50 years. Yet they invited them. And what happened is scammers I understood this, that they started scamming Black Americans, telling them, you know what? I can get you 99 years if you do this, this, and that. I can do this for you, right? Ghana knew it has very complex tribal laws, English common laws, as well as civil laws. And it's so difficult. Right now, I'm actually working on an app to solve this problem in Ghana. But the issue here is this, right? It's difficult. So my point here is this: Africans scam Black Americans. It's going to be very difficult for Black Americans to trust Africans. The reality is, Black Americans are the most educated, high IQ Black population on this planet, apart from the Black British. So if we Africans want to move forward, we need to be able to leverage them, right? Today, I was installing my internet, right? Because I moved into a new house. And one thing that I found interesting is we don't have any data centers here, right? We got nothing, absolutely nothing, no industry at all. We can't make steel. We can barely make plastic, right? So yeah, Black Americans should be invited to a specific African country. And this time, instead of scamming them, the African country should write bylaws to protect Black Americans so that the investments can go down the right way. Now, Kenya's got so many Black Americans coming in. I hope the Kenyan government doesn't scam them like the Ghanaian government did.
I hope too, bro. I really hope they do, because I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like, because it's I don't know. I think it's a cultural thing. Like, I can't. Maybe it is a cultural thing. I can't say for sure, man. But like, I'm even doing business over there in the continent, and I'm trying to get one dude. I was like, I'll pay you some money to cut some videos or edit some videos. He tried to charge me $300 per video, not knowing that, dude, I'm gonna give you free publicity and I'm gonna give you the first right of refusal. But it's just I don't know, maybe the people on the continent, they ain't understanding the long-term vision of what they're trying to get. That they just got the I just need it now moment. And when you got that I just need it now moment, you'll sacrifice everything and not understand with your investment that you really sacrificing. So it is what it is, man.
I think the continent, you see, the thing is they didn't experience the mindset is not at a level that understands the total implication of where their situation is. They don't fully understand it. And if you compare them to the Asian countries and what they've done, and yesterday I just saw Xiaoping in China. My mouth was open what these people have been able to do. The largest, the most populated city in the world, I just found out yesterday. I didn't know that before now, that it was Champagne. And this city is a marvel. And Africans, they don't have a clue the level of deprivation that they are in. And the mindset is not even catching up, because they don't really know that this world, you have to earn your way in this world, because our leaders have shielded them from it. They didn't exactly fight for independence, did they? They didn't fight like the Asians did, or the Middle Easterns and the other people. So you don't see even one African country that is like with their eyes open and thinking, you know what, we are not taking it from anybody, and then we are going to fight to develop ourselves. Like the way North Korea or Iran or all the others are doing. Even Israel had to fight to get to where they got to. But you don't see that kind of spirit in Africans. It's not because we are not smart. It's just because we have not been visited by the same kind of things others have been visited by. And it's almost deliberate too. To show you how I think this is almost deliberate, if you look at what happened in Niger, even France was bristling. But look at the behavior of America. America was just tiptoeing, sidestepping. This is what I was talking about. They tiptoeing, something they will not do with other regions. They do it with Africans. Why do you think they do that? Because they know they don't want to wake us up. They don't want to get our kind of awareness to the level where it needs to be for us to actually wake up and start realizing that this world doesn't owe us a living. We have to fight for ourselves. They don't want us to wake up to that fact. Instead of them to do that, the French soldiers would rather leave in the end.
But what's keeping Africans asleep though? Like
access to internet, bro. I'm gonna tell you the God honest innocent thing. This is what I did. I did my own personal research for it, right? So I was in Uganda, and I'm in Uganda for that's my little second home. You can damn near call it my second home, bro. So I'm over there, and I'm like, okay, what's up with this the telecom service, right? Because I'm paying damn near $60, $40 necessarily every week just to have access to the internet, right, on my phone. And I know if I'm paying this kind of money, I'm just being honest. I know the local African can't afford to pay that amount of money every week just to have access to internet, man. So, and I'm paying that necessarily. You gotta understand the conversion rate from my $60 is different for the conversion rate for their money, right? So I'm paying like that's like triple or that's like double. It goes like double or triple over there, right? And if I'm paying this kind of money, they can't afford to have the same information that I'm getting, right, on a daily basis, right? They don't have the ability to communicate with nobody like me or you necessarily. Who can
it's a little deeper. It's a little deeper than that. Something Golden Heart described it exactly. Africans themselves are the problem in Africa, and that's a good point. When I was in college, I had this Chinese professor, right? And he was explaining to me just like how innovative Americans are. And one profound thing that he mentioned was that, Americans are so innovative and creative and have advanced because we are a free society, meaning that when you are in a free society, the government doesn't control how you think. We have all these freedoms. It allows your brain to be creative and go anywhere. And he mentioned that China was so far behind with innovation and why they copycat so much because their culture doesn't allow them to just freely think because of the type of political system. But Africa doesn't have that problem.
Africa is suffering from the problem of being the best place it is to live, bro. And like you gotta really like apply this, like you say, iron sharpens iron, and steel, and what was it? And heat and pressure makes diamonds. That's the problem with Africa. I'm telling, because I'm within Uganda. That is the birthplace of damn near most African people, and the closest thing, like I can literally say, bro, I've seen the cradle of civilization, bro. It's perfect, bro. I'm telling you, it's literally perfect. The weather is 75 degrees. What is it? It don't rain too much, don't rain too little. That you get permanent sunshine year around, bro. The food can grow all the way. Like when you live in that kind of place, you don't have to kind of, change your way of thinking or got to be extra cutthroat. But everybody else on the planet is cutthroat, bro. Right? See what I'm saying? The environment itself is actually making you timid, right? But the reality is, everybody else in the world out here living in the worst place in the world living, and they got a real fuck you mentality about it.
Yeah, but you know what?
You got that's why.
But I agree with you, because a lot of Africans say when they in America, they be like, you know what I miss about Africa? I feel free. I feel free, right? I just read this book called Manipulated Man. I didn't finish it, but somebody highly recommended me to check it out. And one statement, the author is a white lady, but they made a statement about how men create everything for the world, and she basically said how women aren't innovative as far as inventors. Like if it was up to women, they would be fine with all the technology we have now. They naturally don't see a need for more, but men typically always want to build on top of something we already built. So the complacency that you're describing is feminine in a lot of ways. Men typically want to build, want to compete.
I can answer that question, but I can't answer that question.
I don't think
out
it's
here in the public.
feminine. I don't. This is what I was referring to before. If you put a Nigerian with anybody in this world individually, they will compete like everyone else, maybe even outshine them. But how is it that as a nation, as a group, they are not able to function? It tells you that there are other effects, macro level effects that controls the behavior of people. And this is something I've been finding recently, that the way African continent is being dealt with on a global scale leaves them asleep. Even our leaders are colluding in that. They make sure of the it too. Like the speech our president made to the UN. If our president just tweaked the speech a little bit and spoke to Nigerians that way, it will unite the country in a cause. But they don't. They it's like somebody living in a room. All you see is the ceiling. You don't know, you are not aware of the sky. That is Africans for you. That is why their collective intelligence is only against themselves. They would rather battle themselves than battle the greater threat out there. So what I've found is that the nations that broke out of control of the West, the reason why they are able to do that, because they saw what it's like face to face. If you look at North Korea, their whole country was completely destroyed. This in Japan, nuked twice. South Korea, almost destroyed. China, almost destroyed. Vietnam, but look at all of them today. Even this in the Israelis, the Jews, look at what they went through. Look at the country they founded today. So it's not because we are inherently not intelligent individually, but as a group, we are not able to function. And I think that when you ask the question about what is keeping us asleep, that is what they are not waking us up. There is a reason why in movies you see sometimes they're like they'll say the leader of a country or the king declares war to unite the people. Africans are not like that. If anything, our leaders connive with the West to keep us asleep, so that we remain divided amongst ourselves. We never look above and see the greater threat that is out there. That is what is going on. And that's why it's hard to blame Africans directly for it, because individually they are smart.
Yeah, there are a lot of smart Africans. I've met a lot, in science. So I mean, the ability is in all humans, right? So it's not that Africans just innately just don't have the ability, but it's I would say this. It's not about what Africans don't have. It's about them. Okay, Africans want something, right? A lot of them want what Black Americans have, in a sense of creativity, education, etc. So if a lot of Africans want what we have, wouldn't it be upon them to learn from us?
But they've been under tribalism for a long time, though, brother. Don't blame it on the white man.
It's not enough to learn. You have to be ready to die for it. This is what
exactly.
Africans are not ready for.
And
They've not been conditioned for it.
Like 229 just said, you have to be ready to die for it, bro. Like, because for me, I'm not gonna stop going to Africa. When I went the first time, I was like, I'm never going to stop, bro. You gonna have to kill me, bro. That's legitimately it is. So
hold on, let me shout out super chat. I want to get to it here. I want to shout out to one man went to Mo. Appreciate the I think that's euros, €2 super chat. Bantu. Appreciate it, bro.
That's the pounds, the British pounds.
That's pounds. Okay.
That British pounds, boy. You get it correct, bro. You get it correct. But But what I was saying, like, for me, like, when I left the country, I was like, yeah, I came and saw all my family, my aunties, my uncles. I was like, yeah, y'all gonna have to bury me here. And they was like, what? I was like, yeah, like, that's it for me. Like, when I made up that mindset, everything I've done since then has been to get back to necessarily to the country that I want to stay in, right? So, but the local African, they don't have that level of drive because, like I said, let's be honest, bro. I mean, Africa provides you with basically everything you need to survive. So unless this need comes from either a deep desire of want or the deep desire of you just need it to happen, it's not going to come to you unless somebody's training you necessarily to have that desire. And let's be honest, bro. I went to the schools in Kenya. Schools in Kenya are starting to get up there. Uganda are fucking horrible. South Sudan is a joke, and what is it? In Tanzania, they out there preaching Arabic shit. So none of these schools are putting in the knowledge to have these kids be the conquerors of the world or necessarily or fighting for their place in it. It teaches you to
Yep.
and take what it is, man. So
Yeah. So one of the issues in Africa, and this is also why there's a, let's say, a lack of unity between Black Americans and some Africans. A lot of Africans are zealots, right? Religious zealots, right? So an African will be hungry. They basically know that they're in poverty. They know they've got zero financial competence. Instead of going to a financial advisor or at least someone who they've seen, like a businessman, like those Somali businessmen or those Kikuyu businessmen, an African, right? I'm generalizing here, but this is true for most countries. They go to their churches, right? They go to their pastors, right? And they go to a priest, and then they want the priest to pray against history of generational poverty. Now, look,
he's not
spiritually,
lying, bro. I
right?
seen the same shit in Uganda. You are not lying, bro.
Exactly. Now, you could say, yeah, this could be spiritual symbolism, but it's no. Africans don't do symbolism. Africans really believe that this is how they're gonna stop themselves from being poor. So you can't even reason with them because, as the brother FBA Ghost mentioned, there's no critical thinking taught in schools, right? And if you miss the critical thinking at like the critical ages, 5 years old, they'll never think critically, right? So they're thinking on just doing basics.
I think that you are looking at this thing too much from a micro level. I think the macro, you have to understand the macro environment that the Africans are operating in. That's what I've discovered. Before I was always going
But
on
Nigel,
this
hang
thing
on,
on
hang
the
on.
micro
We're not.
level.
I'm not. Just one second, brother. I'm not trying to. You see, the difference between me and you is you're pandering for the Africans. I'm telling you
No,
how
I'm
it
not.
is.
I'm just no.
I don't need to.
You are talking on the
Hang on.
micro level. I'm talking on the macro
Right,
level.
right. But hang
I'm
on,
not
one
pandering
second.
to anyone.
Okay, 1 second.
Because all
Tonight.
to show you what I'm saying is correct, all groups have what you are just describing. They have people that believe in stuff all the time.
No, they don't, and this is the issue. Hang on,
See,
tonight.
African America, in America, they have people that worship. They're in a church, but they worship with snakes.
Let
What are you
him
talking about?
let him land this plane because I
Yeah.
want to I want to tie this into Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you land real quick.
Yeah, so tonight the difference is, right, everything exists everywhere. Every pathology you can think of exists in every community. The difference is every pathology isn't equally as spread or powerful, right, as every other community. The issue is in Africa we let all these pathological conditions and cultural practices thrive. Other communities have them at bay.
I beg to differ. I see. I hear your point because there's bound to be differences. Some countries believe in are more religious than others. Like when you had in 9/11, you saw that a lot of people were flocking to churches. And given where Africa is, that's every day 9/11 that they're having. So you can look at it from that point of view, or you can decide to just say, "Oh, they don't know what they are doing." In reality, I'm not trying to pander. I've looked at this stuff and I've found that human beings respond to something that they can unite around, and Africans don't have anything to unite around. Our leaders are not telling them.
Okay, so we're let's say we're intelligent Africans or Black Americans or wherever group you identify with. So Nigeria, not Nigeria, Zimbabwe. A lot of Black Americans responded to the white Zimbabwean wearing a pageant as a first move to show to show the world that we are we are changing in our from our history, maybe for white acceptance, maybe the first step towards getting let's say certain sanctions, possible sanctions removed. And so I can't fully answer this question on how can Zimbabwe overcome, let's say, the sanctions. What typically happens to get those reversed? If there are other ways they can get around it, because what I see figuratively is that when you show what is perceived as a level of desperation, you invite yourself to get quote unquote fucked in the ass. So you're gonna have these Western countries. They're gonna have a checklist of things they want to see. They're gonna push the alphabet community on Zimbabwe. They're going to want to exploit their land even more. The same things that they, the same things they do to Haiti to a certain extent. So when Black Americans react in a way of when we react in a way of seeing this, we don't see good from it. We see taken advantage of. In my opinion, Zimbabwe has South Africa right there. That, in my opinion, that has their back or have shown they have their back. There's a lot of Zimbabweans in South Africa, for example. So,
I ain't gonna tell you. I ain't gonna say nothing, bro. All I'm gonna tell you, bro. You might as well go ahead and look at South Africa damn near like how you would look at like how you know how the US got what's the name of that fucking country? Cuba and Hawaii, bro. That's what you really need to look at South Africa like, bro. It's the same way you look at Hawaii. You be like, oh, Hawaii at the 53rd country, the state, apparently, right? You need to look at South Africa the same way.
Let me shout out a super chat real quick. Gway, Liberian, appreciate the $2 super chat. She said, Tunaja, if I'm pronouncing that right. Thanks for telling
Tunaja.
Tunaja. Thanks for telling the truth. I appreciate.
Why you say it like that?
All this Ike is dead.
He did drug and I like Tunaja. I was like, what?
Yeah, I guess so. Some people when I was saying this stuff, for me, I get, how I get now. I get a little bit too, some people will say emotional about some of all these topics. So I actually take some time to review and look closer and try to find out what is different from, why are we responding differently? Because I know for sure, if you transplant African Americans from the US to Africa will change. Because they know they have the awareness, but Africans don't, and that is how you start understanding these macro, these level effects that is exhibited on the continent. Most of the Haitians understand, African Americans understand, but the continental, you'd be surprised how docile they are. They literally think, many of them think Europeans, there's nothing wrong with them. I was listening to some Nigerian channel yesterday, and they were busy praising, heaping praises on the West. They didn't even know they were doing it. And these are some of these are people that are involved in this type of conversation. They are aware of the manipulations that are going on, but yet they are still conditioned to praise the West. Even I found myself even using criticizing voodoo and our traditional cultures the other day, because I was using it to refer to quackdom, like somebody that is not qualified. Like I would say, you are doing voodoo mathematics here, or voodoo this, voodoo that, because we have been conditioned. That's how deep it is with on the continent. And I must say, even the African American, they have some of that too. This ashy skin that they call each other, and you hear some of all those kind of conditioning against anything that is tied to being black. You have some of that too. I see that sometimes in the African American community too. But in Africa, it's a lot deeper.
But Africa has so much power that they don't use. Like African countries can unite and condemn these nations to doing such things. You can cut the supply, the water supply off Europe. I mean France. Instantly.
Yeah.
No, Africa has no power. They are the world's bitch. They will never unite, and even their cooperations, like ECOWAS, they don't even get along. So once we realize that Africans don't unite based on being African, then you'll realize that these countries are going to have to make themselves stronger first, and then try to unite from a place of a mutual benefit, because it ain't going to be off of skin color or ethnicity or continentality, which doesn't even make sense. Africa will never, and I'm going to tell you like this, and anybody could debate me on it if they want. Africa will never be the future, because Africans are not wired for success globally. Individually, all humans have the ability to be successful. But when you look at how deep the rabbit hole runs in terms of African leadership, and that there's been generational um with them. You know, what's in it for me in Africa? That the global good will never ever happen.
I, maybe you see, maybe we'll never be the future because there's a chance that we might miss this opportunity again, and we are all gonna be in trouble for it, including African Americans, all of them. We are all gonna be in trouble for it. Or there's also a chance that we could start getting our act together because I was looking at the list of nations that have military alliances in the world. You cannot believe that Africa is not on that list at all. No African country, apart from I think South Africa with Israel once, and maybe Egypt today. That's it. No, like proper Niger Congo country was in there. Apart this year now, the only country that has appeared in there is Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso this year. So that is signaling a change. See, we have West African organization ECOWAS that wanted to invade Niger. But guess what? They didn't even sign their own defense pact. If they had a defense pact, you're not going to be seeing coups. You're not going to be seeing coups, and you're going to see a situation whereby they are going to be stronger for it. But no, they don't even have a defense pact to protect each other in West Africa, not to mention other parts of Africa. So to an extent, maybe Nakmizi is onto something because our leaders are kind of cowards. You know how they describe them in some documents? Anglophiles. They are Anglophiles. They love the English so much that they forget that they have to cater for their own people.
Well,
I'm waiting for the person to try to disagree with me.
I mean, hold on, Africa. I mean,
wait, hold on.
I was came here for a fight, bro. If you came here for a fight, you got the wrong place, bro.
Wait, first of all, you're here because of me.
You came here for a fight.
No, wait, hold on, brother. You're here because of me. Because this whole goddamn stream was my idea, and the most people on here for my channel.
Because I know this man.
No. But if it wasn't for me, this wouldn't even be a stream, brother.
Means nothing to me, bro. Calm yourself.
No, but I'm saying if you want to have a debate on the facts of what I'm saying, then we could get it cracking. You, matter of fact, and I pay attention to what you said.
Bro, like I said,
and what you said. Hold on, because I'm gonna put respect on what you said.
You know, so we got to understand it, bro.
Well, what are you letting me know?
I'm telling you, the only reason I'm here because you got some bravado in your chest, like you important, bro. The reason I'm here is because of this man on the left. Not you.
Yeah, and that man on the left started this stream because of me.
But not you though. So like I said, bro.
All right, let's stay on let's stay on topic.
All right, so let's stay on topic. So like I said, this whole stream was my idea. Everybody in here that's dropping the facts and dropping the knowledge on Africa are here because they are my colleagues. I've been cooking on this. And to the brother who's laughing like a little bitch, I'm actually going to put some respect on something he said.
Well, please,
which don't laugh at what I'm saying because you've been trying to cut me off since I got up here. You've been trying to cut me off since I got up here, and you don't know me, and that's going to end up really badly for you.
Other than bitch and make a complaint, what you gonna do about it?
All right, well, I'm going to cook you with the information. I'm going to cook you with your own words. Now, you said, and I agree, that the reason that Africa hasn't gone anywhere is because they had everything. And because you can go to Africa and get the perfect climate, because you can grow everything, what does that cause? Complacency. So when Africans go around in their countries and they don't do what? They don't try to get more. Because necessity is the driver of productivity. This is why the continent will never be any more than what it is, because Africans have become lazy, because they've been complacent, because they've had everything and they ain't have to really fight nobody to get it. Now I'll pass it to you. Debate me on it.
Your existence means zero to me, bro. So I'm not gonna debate.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can come back on that and say you are tying it to the environment. I don't necessarily subscribe to the environment. The environment was a macro effect before, but there are other things that has happened to other people that have changed the other. China was complacent once. They were complacent once when the Europeans first arrived. The Japanese were not. because the Chinese were like, oh, we are insular, we don't care about you. And they paid a heavy price for it, and they never looked back since then. So Africa, the problem with sub-Saharan Africa right now, the world has not bothered to, feel the need to come and do anything to us, fight us in any way, because our leaders are giving them everything they want on a platter. So our leaders are doing such a hatchet job for them. It's not even funny. And this is why, when I said before that, why is it that the West never really tries to invade Africa the way they do other areas? Because they know if they do that, they are going to wake that 1 point something billion people up. And that's why I was wishing that the French actually made the mistake of going to Niger. Because if they did, they wake us up. And Africans, Nigerians, all of them, they will start waking up and saying, enough of these people, they have to
Yeah,
go.
Tanaja, I want to cut you off, right? Whether we wait,
Yo,
sorry, go
Kaizo,
ahead.
can I get this, please, Kaizo? I'm sorry, brother. The whole Africa's gonna wake up. Africa is never gonna wake up, bro. If years and generations of Europeans, Arabs, Chinese, Indians screwing the continent over hasn't woken them up, they're never going to wake up. The smart Africans are the ones who leave. It's only the dummies. It's only the dummies. No, wait, but you're saying that from England, brother. You're smart. That's why you left.
No. It's not because that's not why I left. I left a long
Brother,
time
you're
ago. I
smart.
was
That's
dumb.
why you left.
No, I was dumb, not smart, actually. If I was smart, I should have planned to return back a long time to start doing work on the continent. That is not smart. So I don't subscribe to the idea that we are inherently incapable. It's just that, see, name one country that has been bombed by Western country. They went there, invaded, and they fought them like Vietnam. No, they didn't. It didn't happen.
I would say this. Ethiopia is an exception, in my opinion. Even though they're a poor country, they have always been resilient historically and respected from a military standpoint. Even they don't have the technological weapons.
Why though, bro?
Ethiopia is nothing compared to Nigeria. I mean, see, African countries are not in the right place right now.
Tonight, you know why though? The simple fact is, bro, like they've been battling Arabs for the damn near the last century, bro. See what I'm saying? Like, if you really want to go over like quote unquote not Ethiopian history, it's been battling amongst themselves, or they've been battling necessary foreign powers for like I say for like the last 100,000.
Ethiopians was running South Africa, they would probably be, a world power.
Probably, bro. But that's what I'm saying. It's the combination of I'm telling you, when I went to these schools, bro, I'm at the schools. They talking about what is it? Why does a duck have webbed feet? Because God said so, bro. Like, I don't think you really understand like that. Like I'm sitting there, I'm watching a little kid do the homework, right? The little kid doing the homework, and it's talking about why does the duck have webbed feet? Because God intended for it, and that's the correct answer. So if you send your kid out necessarily against my kid, and you ask my kid the same exact question, of course my kid gonna beat your kid ass because you ain't even teach your kid the basis of the world that they live in. So you got a double whammy necessarily with the cultural part of it, right? The educational part of it, and then your currency is not being good. Your currency is just horrible. So at this point, you basically we call it a pin move. You basically pin on all three sides. So the only people that really going to necessarily get out are the people who well educated, people who got money, right? That's a small class of people in Africa. Let's keep that 100, right? Or the people who just necessarily have some kind of internal need to figure out what's going on, right? That's like the truly naturally intelligent people. They're going to leave, and most likely those people who are the natural intelligence, they don't have the other three parts of it, so they just gonna go with whatever they see when they go to the next country. So it's a 2-part, 3-part issue that you got to really fix from the ground up.
I think
pay attention, people. Pay attention. The panel is literally proving my point. The education system is garbage. The leadership is garbage. The resources are not controlled or refined by Africans themselves. The medicinal, agricultural, military is all got other people's hands in it. They want to talk about Dangote this, Dangote that. That is a white project with Indian project managers on it. Africa is a failure. It's been a failure, and it's always going to be a failure. So if y'all not African and y'all buying this Pan African dream, snap out of it and listen to where the Africans who are smart, besides Kaizo, are. They left.
So
They
they left.
left. They
They're
don't want to
already
be there.
dead. They are not. They can leave, but they're already dead. The moment you abandon your continent, you are dead. It's just a matter of time.
So then you're a
Um,
zombie. Then are you a
yeah,
zombie?
exactly. That is just the truth. You think I'm here pretending as if I'm not one of them? See, you
I,
leave your continent in
I
time, you
personally,
are done for.
I personally think South Africa has the potential to, to be a world power. They're positioning themselves to be. I will say that Nigeria does have the potential. Now they're gonna, fulfill that
Yeah.
potential. That's another discussion. Nigeria.
So
Hold on, real quick. Just so people don't know, Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, and Ethiopia have they're in the fourth largest military, ranked in military strength. In economics, you got South Africa, Nigeria, and Egypt again in no particular order, the largest economies in Africa. So so those countries need to work together and figure it out because there is potential, but fulfilling the potential, that's a different subject. Now, I do look at South Africa in some ways 20 and 30 years behind as far as how they view racism and the effects of oppression as Black people are. So, for example, and I want to get all y'all opinion on this. So, I was going back and forth with this South African woman, and she was spitting disdain about. I guess it's something that's kind of new. She was saying like, I don't like the fact that Black Americans are telling or created this movement. I guess it's a movement now sparking in South Africa to remove the word, to remove color, to remove, light skinned people being called colored. Basically saying that color, is, racist, and that, in the United States, we had this light skin, dark skin thing, and, you have the house, the house N word and things of that nature. So we started to look at our light skinned people, we're still Black at the end of the day. But she was saying, colored, it's a race. And I'm just like, you mix a white person and a Black person, and now it's a new race. So I don't agree with that per se. And how I look at their colored population, which is basically a mix of South African with white or South African with their Indian population, basically being mixed. A lot of them look at it as a new race, and they don't understand the context of color coming from American perspective. So I wanted to get y'all opinions on that, and then if if y'all want to talk about anything.
Yeah, let me jump on it real quick. Pause, because I'm gonna head out in a second.
All right.
But in that regard, I kind of agree with her. Right, you can't put American standards and concepts of race onto another continent or onto another place, because each place has their own racial dynamics, right? So we had the one drop rule in America, right? In certain parts of America. Down there, the colors are a real thing. It's a real thing. It's not something that we can just say, well, they're Black or they're not. They're literally their own group of people. And a lot of times they had historically sided with the white population. I think they were fighting so that they wouldn't be included as Negroes. They were trying to be, I believe, white. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't think were you trying to call them Black or something or what?
No, I'm just we realize in America that when you create these sub-black groups, it creates division.
Oh, I mean, division typically, and you get a lot of black leaning and black supporting biracials and multi-generational, right? But there has been what we know as a buffer class, where they were, a lot of times closer to the white man and working for the white man as a go between blacks and whites. You know what I'm saying? And if the white man is writing the checks, then they're obviously going to be working in his favor. I think that's a whole nother can of worms. But I met a colored person. My former manager brought his au pair from South Africa to the job, and he's like, "She's colored." I'm like, "Nah, she's black. She looked like a light skinned black girl." And I'm arguing with her about why she's black, and she's like, "No, I'm colored. I'm not black." So at the end of the day, I just got to accept what their social norm is for them, and not try to force American concepts of race on the people that aren't even American.
But but on the same hand, she would say that we shouldn't. She would say that we shouldn't use NIGGA, and if that's the case, let us decide how we feel about that word, and don't give your opinion on that. If you don't
Yeah,
want
you're
us,
right. If she then she got to be on both sides. If you don't want us speaking on yours, then don't speak on ours. And I think that's honestly the best solution, which is why I've been telling people like, look, we don't have conversations about Africans at the dinner table. I don't think Africans have conversations about Black Americans at the dinner table. There's a Michonne from The Walking Dead. She's from some African country, and somebody asked her in an interview, actually on the street, I think it was TMZ, what do you think about? Oh, do they teach you about the slave trade in your country? She's like, look, the world doesn't revolve around Black Americans. At first, I'm like, oh, how disrespectful is that? But it's true. With different people, we don't have anything in common besides skin color. And I think once we realize that and drop that false uh, ideology, that failed ideology of Pan Africanism, which has only really been pushed by the diaspora and has been pushed the hardest from Black America, and we literally had no return on that investment. You spoke about Ethiopia. Then you got to speak about the brown condor, who said, he was flying missions for the Ethiopian Air Force. He actually started it, and he laid the foundation for Ethiopian Airlines today. You see, so we've been on the front lines of all these pro-black movements and fighting against the Italians with the Ethiopians, and fighting in South Africa against apartheid, going to Nigeria back in the days, trying to form this Pan-African thing, and it just failed. Because if you really want to be African or embrace Africa, then you have to embrace tribalism. So those that say that tribalism is bad and it doesn't work and this and that, they have a lot of good points, but that's the reality. So tribalism is African, and Pan-Africanism is actually
No,
un-African.
that's a total nonsense, of course. Can I come in?
Yeah, please.
Yes, I'd like to ask a question, because a lot of these conversations, especially that contribution by the last speaker, a
Well,
lot of
don't
this
act like you don't know who I am.
yeah, no, because there's something there that's letting me not see your name. So if that comes up, then I'll see your name.
Oh,
But
it's not easy. It's
oh,
it's not easy.
Savior of
Make some
Africa,
titles.
yes. So Savior of Africa. So um, a lot of this conversation, it seems to skate around the elephant in the room. So why don't we just tackle that? So who are the preeminent black people? That is really where the question is. Who are the preeminent black people?
Black
Uh,
Americans.
yes, thank you for saying that. So are the preeminent black people the black Americans, or really the Africans? So that is the thing. Because I'm not aware that any black person comes from anywhere outside of Africa. So how can you have preeminence if you're not the source? And then who should also
I'll explain it to you right
no,
now.
can you
Give
hold
me
on?
one question at
Can
once.
you just
One question at
sorry,
once.
who has the moderation? Let me land the guy. Don't
No,
do
go ahead. Go
that.
land your plane. Land
Yeah,
your plane.
don't do that. Yeah, so who should lead the narration around the black conversation with the rest of the globe? Should it have an African accent or should it have a diasporic accent? So this is really where the thing is. Because I'm not quite sure if you're aware of the term inverted snubbery. So let me just give you an example that makes the point. Imagine a theater nurse turning a nose up at a brain surgeon. So that's loosely what an inverted snub is, like a theater nurse turning up her nose at a brain surgeon. So there's a somewhat of an inverted snobbery coming from the diasporic bloc, especially the American cusp, who seems to, because they have the amplification of the media that they have there, seem to think that they're the preeminent blacks. But they're a subsect of black people, but not really the main hub of black people. So that is really where the conversation is, because those black Americans and the entirety of the diasporic bloc, they have to coalesce behind an African narrative, and that is the storyline for black. So the storyline for black people is an African storyline and no other. So that's what I wanted to say.
Let me take this, please. Let me take this, please, because I gotta go. Please, let me take this because he said that what I said was nonsense, but he didn't really say what part of it was nonsense. I don't know if he's saying that Pan-Africanism is actually African because it's not.
The entirety of what you said was what I described.
Well, that's very broad in general, but I'll surmise and say this: show me a country that's Pan-African in nature. Or matter of fact, what is your country? And I'll show you that your country is not Pan-African in nature. Africa is the graveyard for Pan-Africanism. Africans kill Pan-Africans for Europeans. Okay? Sometimes they kill them just for themselves. That's a fact. Now, as we speak about this preeminent black thing, and you're trying to make a connection between black Americans and the original blacks, here we go with the big homie versus little homie concept, right? We could just talk about it. Who are your Pan-African greats? And where did they go to? They came to Black America to learn about Black unity. Okay, so to say that the Africans are the source, no, the African is the source of tribalism. The African is the source for selling each other. Even till today, the African is the source of disrespecting their people. The African is the source of stealing from their people, selling their people into sex slavery into Italy. Mm-hmm. The African leader is the source of getting their operations in European countries while they don't have functioning hospitals in their own. I hope you're not a Nigerian because that'd be too easy. And he mentioned the voice of the global black, I guess, or all black people globally, that it should be an African voice. How ironic. The man sounds like J.K. Rawlings talking about the African voice. So you yourself are a walking contradiction and actually the face of neo-colonialism because you're speaking the perfect Queen's English with the Queen's accent. The difference between Black Americans and Africans continentally is that you guys seem to be complicit, complacent, and happy with the state of being the face of global poverty, sickness, handouts, docility, and lack of innovation. These are all facts. If you tell me your country and then you tell me your ethnic group, I'll compare the accomplishments of your ethnic group versus the accomplishments of mine. And we will run circles around you and any other African on this panel. Challenge me.
Let me shout out this super chat real quick. I appreciate you, Juju, for the $2
He's Nigerian. Please stick to Nigeria. He's Nigerian, by the way.
Okay, so
he's Nigerian.
Nakmizi,
yes, he's Nigerian.
Mizi, what you are saying, you can say it 1,000 times over. You can't compare the homeland of the black people to the diaspora. It's just not like that's not how it is done. And I
Why
don't
not
get
homeland of the Arabs?
hold
Not?
on, hold on.
Why can't we?
Because the Chinese you don't see the diaspora Chinese saying that they are superior to the people in the homeland. So and
Yes,
besides,
they
nobody's
actually.
saying that nobody's saying
Wait,
that the
but we're not
homeland is
the same,
superior.
though. We're not the same, brother.
What do you mean you're not
I
the same?
have.
You're the
Wait, wait.
Chinese.
I'm gonna.
Oh goodness!
I'm
Stop
gonna tell you why
interrupting.
we're
You
not the
just had
same,
your say.
Niger.
You just
But
had your say.
we're
Please
not the
let me
same.
just have
Am I
mine.
the same as you? Am I the same as you,
See,
Niger?
neither are
You're
Chinese
an
in China
Islam
the
man.
same as the ones in the West. Can I finish what I'm saying?
Tonight, let me
Go
just
on,
say this.
finish.
Let me say this to Savior of Africa. You cannot bludgeon logic. Do you know what to bludgeon is? To hit with a
Yes, I
block.
speak the
Yeah.
Queen's English just as good as you, my friend.
You cannot bludgeon logic. So logic always pulls through. So listen to what Tonaja is saying to
Wait,
you.
but I think that
You
a
have
lot of
to
you Africans are
subordinate.
long-winded, and you
No,
try to
you have
ask
to
5
subordinate.
questions in once.
You have to
You ask 5 questions in
subordinate
once,
yourself.
and then you don't
Hold
have the
on, hold on.
conversation back and
Let me
forth.
just say this, and okay, you go first.
Let me
Okay,
finish what I
the
was
thing
saying.
is that a lot of
Yeah,
times,
You
especially to
just
Niger, hold on,
interrupted
to
me.
Niger,
Just
to
interrupted me.
Niger.
Finish talking.
Wait,
Niger,
I'm
let me
gonna
just
let you
insert
finish,
this
to
and I'll
Niger.
be
I'm gonna
quiet.
let you finish,
All
to
right.
Let
Niger,
me just
because I know
let me
how
just
you are, to Niger. Well, first of all, I know to Niger for years already, so he and I have had this back and forth a lot. What I would like from to Niger is succinct questions that I can answer, not just long-winded multiple points, because then it makes it hard to address each point. So to Niger, I'm gonna be quiet. Go on, brother.
you
Niger,
just had a long-winded one yourself.
let me just insert this and I'll be quiet as well. To that chappie and the rest of the listening, you have to subordinate yourself to the African black. There is no other way. Do you understand? So pay attention. So I'll repeat it again. You have to subordinate yourself to the African black because there's no other way. To Niger, to you.
I'm not sure I subscribe to that, but generally, when what bad? See, you don't see the Chinese in the homeland, or even the Europeans in the homeland, or the Israelis today, or then the diaspora one saying that we are the ones in charge. You don't say no. That's not how it works. And if both sides have things that they have that they can contribute, that's why you see African countries come to the America to learn some stuff about the awareness of the African American, because they have more relevant experience in terms of the harshness and the experience with the Europeans that the African leaders have on the continent. So they come, they pick up
To
some
Niger, can I ask you a
relevance to the
question?
continent. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
If you're so pro-black in this, why is it that every time one man comes here with these Nigerian supremacist talking points, you never speak up against it? Because pretty much what he's
I
saying
just
is
said I
we should
didn't
all bow
agree.
down. Bro, but you never say anything about it. Imagine when Naknizi says anything close to one man says, you are the first one to start crying about, oh, you guys think you're better than us, blah, blah, blah. But one man is the same person, but you're friends and buddy
But
with him all the time.
I just said to him I didn't agree with you. What do you want me to say? You want me to just start fighting
Okay,
here?
another you thing don't is, you don't you you all, don't say it none of you loud. can be leaders. How can one, okay, to Niger, let's just answer this question. How can one homeless person be a leader of another homeless person? How can one broke person be a leader of another broke person?
I also
What
said
do you
that.
get when
I
you
also
add
said
zero
that
and
it's
zero?
about what they've
Yeah,
all
so
got.
no black person can ever be the leader because wherever there's black
But
people,
I never
black people at the bottom, bro. What are you
see,
leading?
at the core of it, the source of the power of every group is generally their home distinct basis. That's generally the way it is. Indians, they have India, Chinese have China, Japanese people around the world have Japan. That's how it works, where the bunch of their population is located.
To
And
Niger, and you guys have had Africa for eons, and you still do not have control on it.
That's
I
what I'm
see.
saying.
Still,
So Niger,
What do you
you
mean?
can't
What
even
do you mean
control your
for
homeland, bro.
eons?
What are you
What do
on
you mean
about?
for eons? We're talking about just three, four
African
hundred years.
nations are too
He's trying to get
docile.
us to trade
African
America for
nations,
Nigeria.
Why would I
African
have you
nations
trade
are too
America for Nigeria?
docile. You guys should have
That
been
is not
fed up a
exactly
long
strategic.
time ago. Even by your reactions, you have no vitriol about getting angry about how people are conducting business in your own goddamn country. You
What?
guys do not know how to get angry. You guys do not
I
know how to
Brother,
fight for
okay,
yourselves.
let's just talk
You
honestly.
don't, because
Tonight,
you
let's
would have
talk
done it
honestly.
already.
Bro,
oh come on, you don't know
such
how
thing
I
as an
react.
African. Tonight, look, that's because you're talking to these diasporan Africans that talk to you like there's a homogenous African. There is no such thing as a homogenous African. Even if you go to Nigeria now, the Igbos and the Yorubas don't even agree on any political terms. And these are the two southern Nigerian major groups that are supposed to be like
There is
these
nothing like
black
a
diasporans that one
homogeneous
man
group.
likes to talk about.
There's
Bro,
nothing like
stop,
a
man.
homogeneous
Look,
group.
Africans
You
are
know that.
tribal at their heart, bro. There is no African in Africa, bro.
See, let
Your
me say
tribe.
this.
There is
Let
no
me say
African.
this. I think it's because you
To
lack.
Niger, what African?
See, you lack proper understanding of human
To
nature. That
Niger,
is
we
why
have to
you
talk about
say
what's
we
real
are.
on the ground, man.
See,
Talk about what's real on the
can I
ground.
just why are you not letting me say one word? See, if you lack proper understanding of human nature, then you just say so. Because the truth is that what Africans are exhibiting, other races exhibit it perfectly, maybe even more aggressively. The reason why we are where we are, that is why you say you are very good at deductive reasoning and critical thinking, but I'm not seeing it here. You should be asking yourself, our tribalism versus that of Europe. Have you ever bothered to analyze that and find that they are even more tribal? Our tribalism versus and aggressiveness versus those of the Asians. Have you analyzed and found that they are even worse? But what makes them functional? Why is it that they are able to do what they are doing now? If you did that, you would have surmised that there are macro events that are affecting outcomes for the
What is
different
the good of
groups.
analyzing
It's
things
leadership.
without
I mean,
action?
leadership is
What is the
the
No,
good of
because
is
if you
Bro,
analyzing things
understand
without
it,
to
then you
action?
Niger,
can
let's
learn
talk
how
about
to
what's
go
on the
after it.
ground, bro. First of all, to Niger, let's just be honest on what's on the ground. For these tribal Europeans to even come together, they had to fight two world wars that almost put them into extinction, bro. What are you on about? We don't even
That is
communicate
how
with one
tribal
another.
they
Like,
are. That's how
oh, to
tribal they
Niger,
are.
can we? Okay, to Niger, can we just? Okay, they looked down the barrel of tribalism with the extinct, and they almost faced extinction because of it. And they decided, okay, that's not it. Oh, these African tribes don't even communicate with one another, bro. They don't. They're fighting their border tribe with like Kalashnikovs that they got from like Russia back in the 1950s or something. They're not facing the harsh realities of this tribalism that you're
You know,
talking about.
you answered your own question by
African
yourself.
people on the ground are tribal. To Niger,
this,
bro. Let's just be real, man.
hold on
African
one
people are
You
tribal.
answered your
African
own question
politics
by
and
yourself.
hold on
every to Niger. African
one
politics is
second.
tribal on its nature. That's why no country is
One
going to
second, panel.
unify or Africa is never going to unify. Let's just be honest and admit what the problem is before you
Nilotic,
start talking about this fantasy of
you
unification.
answered the
Hold on. Well,
question by
let me
yourself.
one second. I just want to point out something real quick. This conversation is a microcosm of what's going on in Africa, right?
Exactly.
Everything you guys are talking about leads to no solution.
Infighting.
The key to a strong nation, a person with an average IQ should be able to figure this out. The first key to a strong nation is the military. That's what China started. That's what China did. China said we're going to learn as much technology as we can. North Korea is doing it, even though they're heavily sanctioned. Guess what? They got the technology for a nuclear weapon. You have to protect.
Listen, my background is in American military.
You have to.
I'm the only one that's making that argument. By the way, no excuse.
Listen, my background is American military. I know how to destabilize countries. You guys have been destabilized for years, and you propagate that by allowing your different leaders that are corrupt in itself. Okay, that's why you guys are starting to have people that are being overthrown, which is great. I'm rooting for all the different guys that are out overthrowing different nations right now, Burkina Faso, and so on. You guys need to kick out of all the Europeans out of your country. First of all, take over your nations, own your precious metals and your materials. Then unite.
Yeah,
but you guys are so individualized and so built on and infighting and who's this and who's that. If you guys would have united a long time ago and took back all your precious rare earth metals, you would be controlling the planet right now. But you can't.
So I want to
because
make
they
a
keep you
comment
destabilized for a reason.
Yeah, I want to make a comment there. Nobody's destabilizing Africa, right? There's no such thing as that. The
You
reality
guys
is
are already
we
destabilized,
What kind
bro.
of rubbish
That's
talk is
why
no,
that?
you
no.
You
guys
didn't
can't
hear
get along. You
the
guys
French
have
guy talking
infighting
about it
right now.
yesterday.
No, no.
You guys have
Yeah.
different
Kenzo, you
fights.
didn't
You
see
guys
that
have
video.
different nations infighting right now. You guys can't even unite.
Okay,
Yeah,
So
but
yes, you guys are
Unite on
destabilized.
what? Unite on
Yeah,
what, bro?
let
Caesar,
me
can
make
you
a
up in
comment.
this?
Yeah.
let me
Explain my
kind of land on what I was gonna say, and then I'll let you guys
No.
popcorn style. Look at China and India, and look at how they take advantage of the United States compared to Africans, right? So China, India has has always been a poor country, either third world, second world, whatever, however you want to classify it. There's only four or five countries that successfully launched satellites on the moon. That takes years of science and mathematics. China has the second most powerful military by weaponry and by numbers. That takes years of science and mathematics. We're talking about tribalism. We're talking about leadership, which plays a part. But Chinese have came to America. When you think of Chinese and Indians, you see them in IT. You see them in math and science. When you see the United States, you see them in medical. You see Africans in more medical. In more medical. But my point is that Africa is not prioritizing math and science. That is how you're gonna build and innovate and protect your country. Once you could protect your country, Russia is technically is considered poor, but they have the second or third strongest military because they have a lot of nuclear weapons. But I'll let you. Who was about to respond? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say this is that the main thing that they're always talking about the leadership over there. You guys need to take lead of what happened in this country. If the leadership is so bad and corrupt, you guys need to have a revolution and get those bastards out.
Yeah. So let me correct everyone here because everyone here is actually wrong. So first of all, Africa is not being controlled by anyone. First, there's no such thing as Africa. That's step number one. Secondly,
you sure about that?
Yeah, one second. You'll see where I'm going with this, right?
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I've been trying to tell them that, Kazel. Please tell them. There's no such thing as Africa.
There's no such thing as Africa, right? Africa is a continent. It's a geological rock with tectonic plates, right? So there's no such thing as Africa. African Union is a joke. So we can't even speak of Africa. We can speak of individual countries. So one of the issues here. So I want to first go against, brother. No excuse. The issue in Africa is not, let's just say Kenya, right? Let's use one country, Kenya. The issue is not that there's no Kenyans with high engineering degrees or science or technology. There are many. I'm a perfect example. I have a PhD in material science. My cousin in AI, whatever technology, works for Australian, all of that stuff, right? All these people, so many. The issue is not that. The issue is that Kenya hasn't created an industry behind these technical professions. So it's the lack of industrialization rather than the lack of education. The education is there. There's just no industries to back up that education. The second point with the brother Ronin talking about how Africa apparently is being controlled and doesn't have control of the resources. This is also a false idea. So-called Africa, or almost no countries in Africa, apart from Southern African nations, we talk about Black Africa, they don't have the industry to mine those minerals. You can't have control of something you can't excavate, right? So the issue here in this whole Niger situation is a joke. Whether you get rid of France, first of all, you can't get rid of France, right? Orania, the company that runs and extracts uranium, guess what? It's a French company, 70% shareholders of the two mines in Niger. So you can never get rid of France. That's just a joke and a dream. Secondly, they need France to actually excavate those minerals. So the issue here is not whether Africa's been controlled, is that so-called Niger in this specific case didn't industrialize, can't add value to its resources, can't even extract its resources from the ground.
I'm gonna push back on
he's
something.
just making
let me
convoluted
push
points that
back
has
on that
no
real quick.
merits at all.
Let me push back on that.
Wait, can I just? Yo, I've been waiting my turn. Can I just
Africa
say?
doesn't exist. Neither am I. Neither does this stream exist. Let me just start with that con.
Hold on,
So you're
real
not gonna
quick.
go against
Hold
anything
on, real
that
quick, because it was just a lot
Okay,
of people
look.
at one time. I just want to push back on industrialization. The United States Industrial Revolution really was only like maybe like a 10, 15 year period. China's Industrial Revolution was about the same. So to industrialize doesn't take a long time. It's the matter of building warehouses, production facilities. The template is out there. China pretty much copied most of their technology from the United States and built.
We can't do it. We can't do it because we're low
Hey,
IQ.
brother, hey, brother, let me ask you this though. Check this out.
Okay.
It's no reason. Check this out. Is this like with Africa, right? You said that you need the white man to get the minerals and stuff like that.
Correct.
And the oil. Okay, check this out though. The Arabs had the same conundrum, right? With Saudi Arabia, there was just a desert, and their main export is oil. They were smart enough to broker a deal.
Correct.
See what I'm talking about? If I have the connect, I'm smart enough to make a deal to where he's happy and I'm happy. There's no reason that Africa or any country in Africa shouldn't be Dubai 2.0. You see what I'm getting at?
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. That is something that Kaisers are talking about. There's always something I don't understand. So actually, like Kaiser said, technically the white man is not in charge. The proxy African leaders are in charge, who are in the camp of the white men.
And you need to have a revolution to get them out of there.
No, let me talk, because like some brother said, no excuse, China did it. Saudi Arabia did it. But what is the difference between the African countries and Saudi Arabia and China? Ironclad leadership that is not out here to sell out. And that is, I always say it, I'm Snake Man, I always say it, the greatest problems, the greatest hurt that African has, it's its leadership.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have to have a revolution. All countries had Vietnam, the United States.
Right now, Nisha, maybe I'm too simple-minded. How hard would it be?
No, you're exactly right. That's why I said countries are destabilized. That's why I said you're exactly right. The country leaderships are destabilized because they're being controlled by Europeans, and that's now allowing for individual country.
It's not really controlled. It's not.
And why won't you guys have a revolution and get them out of there? That's what I'm saying. The people.
I'm not saying, I'm not making an excuse. I'm saying it's not really controlled when it's willingly. Like we saw in Gabon. Like in Gabon, like for example in Gabon, where 3 generations of the same family ruled over the land, and all of them were sellers.
The coup leader is also same family. It's his cousin. Look, all I can say is this, guys. Right? You all are ignoring.
Let me go 1 second.
Okay, just 1 second, and you can go. So-called Africa doesn't exist. Second, none of these countries apart from Southern African countries have industrialized. Hence why Botswana is one of the richest countries there, and it's an upper middle income country. Why? Because they actually process their own diamonds. South Africa, same situation. It's all about industry, trade, and when you talk about Saudi Arabia, they didn't broker a better deal than Nigeria. Saudi Arabia has 35 million people. Nigeria's got 200 plus million people. And Saudi has more.
They brokered a better Dubai. They brokered a better deal. You understand?
Show me the deal. Show me the contracts, right? Until
but every time,
let me finish.
Hold up. Can we let each other
they
finish?
They don't let the white man come and take all the oil, and they get nothing.
Oh my God.
One at a time.
Can you let him finish his?
Let
him finish his statement, and then you can.
Let Kaiser, let the host cook. Kaiser.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't think he's even the host, to be honest.
Shut up, Andy.
This is another man's channel.
Right?
Yeah, Saudi, knows that I control the panel, but let's continue.
Yeah. 35 million people Saudi has, right? UAE, tiny population. Nigeria's got 200 plus million. Show me the contracts and tell me one is better.
Brother, what I'm saying is the small people, y'all keep running. You need to have a revolution like the U.S. did with the British. All countries get the bad leadership out. There's too many resources in Africa for them to be broke the way they are. To be living in abject poverty.
No, that's not sad, but You must understand it's an industrialization. I'm only saying what's blocking industrialization truly.
Yeah,
And the
you
difference
avoided the
between
point.
Saudi
You guys
Arabia,
won't fight. You won't fight.
no, hold on. The difference between Saudi
Fight
Arabia,
what, bro?
the house, hold on. Saudi Arabia was full of dusty tribes. Like the difference is that the House of Saud eliminated all competition or make
Thank you,
in
Snake Man. Thank
charge.
you.
That is the problem here, because before Europeans came in, Africa had kingdoms with multiple ethnicities, but these kingdoms hold for 300, 500 years. It was no problem. Like Africans can build states, but the difference is that how it is right now, how the states are built right now, it somehow doesn't function with our cultures. It just don't.
It's just like in the Congo.
Okay,
They got all
Snake Man, can I go?
Listen.
Can I just
Yeah,
finish? I
let,
think
Snake Man, can I go? Let me go.
we've all
No,
said.
Hold
I'm
on,
waiting
we're gonna
patiently,
do
man. Let me just.
Nick. We're gonna do an order. Nick, I can't. The word's so small.
I should say junta.
Nick, junta.
It's Nilotic Junta.
Okay, junta.
Nilotic Junta.
Why would you skip me all the way at the top? They've been talking.
To Niger.
And don't be so damn long-winded.
Look, when Kazo said Africa doesn't exist, he's right. Africa is just in your concept that the only shared history these so-called African nations that you claim are going to come together have is just the shared history of colonialism. When you talk about China is a unified country today because of the conquest that the Han people did in the whole of China that you see today. Those were tribes that were fighting just like the rest of Africa that you see today. The Han Empire came and conquered that whole shit, genocided anyone or any other ethnic group, and then they made themselves the dominant ethnic group. India, same thing. Even before the Mongols came, Indians were already one unified group, and then they got conquered by the Mongols, and so on and so forth. Same with the House of Saud that Snake Man said right now. That is, Saudi Arabia is only a unified country because the House of Saud, or the first king of Saudi Arabia that you see today, he went around pretty much demolishing any other tribe that would ever stand in his way, genocided them, and the ones he could marry and integrate into his tribe, he did through marriage and so on. That's why he ended up having like 100 and something wives. Those are the wives that he had by creating alliances with other smaller tribes in order to create his kingdom. What history do us Africans even have? What history does a Kenyan have with the Nigerian? What political history? You think the Nigerian elites and the Kenyan elites are just going to come together and cede some of the power they have to create this unification of coming together, or unification only happens when one group conquers the other. Even Ethiopia is only a country today because one tribe conquered the rest and pretty much subdued them and make them speak their own language. And that's the country you have today. And even then, those tribes are trying to break away today. So it's only conquest, bro. There's no unification on this earth. There's only conquest. And then that conquest over time looks like unification. So when you talk about Africa uniting, bro, even the North Africans don't like each other. What are we on about? Morocco and Algeria don't like each other. You can't even cross the border between Morocco and Algeria. Algeria has beef with Egypt. Libya has beef with Egypt. This is just a natural occurrence when two different groups are together that haven't been conquered and created into one group. That's just what happened. So Africa does not exist to Niger. Keizo was right. Africa is just a concept that was created in a post-colonial era. Nothing more, nothing less.
All right, you could go, Alex, if you wanted to say something.
Yeah.
Hold on, I just had to mute myself. So, there was just a recent summit in Africa, and it had the French prime minister there. And there was an African gentleman, one of the leaders, that was speaking. And he was speaking in such a way that France has reneged on the amount of money they were supposed to be getting for these countries over a period of years. You guys are supposed to be getting like 100 million or something like that. There was a number that was thrown out during this meeting. He was speaking directly to the French prime minister that was during the summit. I'm sure one of you guys know what summit I'm talking about, but it just happened about a month ago. I watched it. But he was speaking in such a manner that they're getting sick and tired of France reneging on their deal for their resources. So my question to you is, if you guys can't mine or you don't have the equipment, why not go and buy the equipment and mine the stuff yourself? Or if the equipment is there, kick out all your invaders.
I'll answer it. Let me answer the question.
Let him finish.
Let him finish, bro. Let him finish first. Then let him go.
Kick out all your invaders and learn how to use the machinery yourself and process your own minerals, and then sell them on the open market and get the best price you can. You guys actually have control. This is your land. These are your minerals. They are foreign invaders sitting on your land telling you what you can and cannot do with your own minerals. That's freaking ridiculous. No way an American would allow you to stand on their land and tell you how to live it or what they can or cannot do on their land. These are your countries, and you're allowing them to come in and dictate how you function.
Can I respond? You asked two questions, right? Why can't they just go buy the machines? Okay. Right, there's actually trade embargoes on a lot of these countries. America has actually put a list of equipment. A simple example is the equipment created by AMSL, right? A high semiconducting technology. They cannot trade that outside of a few selected countries, and African countries are not part of it. So they're actually excluded from buying certain machines. The only machines we can actually buy is machines from China. Sure, you can do some pseudo-industrialization that way. So yeah, so that's to answer your first question. Most of these high-level technology we can't buy. We're not allowed to, legally speaking. America's put embargoes on these countries.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
Well, I'll answer that afterwards. You also asked the other question, right? Why can't we just buy in terms of money? In terms of money, we don't have enough euro dollars circulating in our systems. Our currencies are worthless. So we actually have to, let's say, earn enough of the dollars or euros in order to purchase this equipment. And that obviously means we'd have to be selling cash crops, which prevent us from being food secure. So it's a catch-22. So we don't have the money.
And why do you think that is?
You have gold, which is
why do you think that is?
Roland, let me finish. Roland, let me finish.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, bro.
Right. So so that's the second reason. Even if we were allowed to buy them, we couldn't for the most part because we don't have enough money. So you asked the question, why do I think that is, right? Obviously, we know why. You could say some people controlling some puppet leaders somewhere, and those puppet leaders steal the money and put it into French banks and etc. That's all true, but it's more than that, right? The average African population is low IQ. They don't understand anything
He's right.
geopolitics. So what that means is you can't convince them to go and fight against his leaders because all you have to do is just create a tribalistic aspect. For example, a country like Somalia has two major tribes that are, shift power between the Darods and the Hawe. And you, as the low IQ individual who can vote, right, will vote for people who deal with your tribal relationships.
I want to push back against something because you mentioned low IQ on two separate occasions. I slightly disagree. So me coming from a math and science background, I've been to China. I've been around Chinese. Anybody that's worked long enough in industry, this goes for Indians too. You realize that a lot of these Chinese and Indians are not that smart.
Oh yeah, of course they.
But and so I'm going to be brief. And so what China has done, India to a certain extent as well. China puts everybody in math and science, and they just pull the best out of each category. So regardless of how low IQ you may think most Africans is, if you follow the same model Chinese do with education, you put everybody in math and science, and you weed out the best ones.
No. But there's one thing you're missing though. The IQ is highly correlated.
People just jumping the queue all over the place. Excuse me, I thought this was supposed to be orderly.
Yeah,
you
just
right. Allow people to talk order, bro. To three times.
I was next. Then in that case, I was next. But I ain't gonna be long-winded. I agree with the host. I've been over to China also in these places. These people aren't that smart. It's just like the white man in the U.S. They just use the system of white supremacy to give them a heads up, but they're not that smart. You know what I'm getting at? So in this IQ thing, it sounds like he's using white people talking points to me.
But no. But when he's talking about
hold on, let me.
Hold on. Let two Najee go, and then the FBA go,
I think when somebody hears a lot of nonsense, enough nonsense, one gets frustrated, and I've had a lot of garbage being spewed not here. And,
hold on, real quick. I don't mean to interrupt you, brother. Chuk said his time is limited. Let him speak real quick, and then and you go right after him, because he haven't been on.
Let him go ahead.
Right.
Okay, yeah, just related. Excuse me, related to the IQ. IQ is correlated with nutrition, and with nutrition, with technology, and with literacy. And this is why you have a lot of low IQ people in Africa. There is no compulsory education, and there's areas of the country that's plagued with with poverty, with poor nutrition, and there's no access to compulsory education. That's number one. And number two, one of the reasons why Africa is in the state that it is currently is because of a resource curse. A lot of people say, why is Africa struggling? You have all these resources, everything like this. Now, the Europeans, the reason why they are so good at conquest and conquering other peoples is because their people grew up in scarcity. So imagine the Vikings. They went around to on boats.
Not to cut you off, brother, but I've talked about the Diop theory. I know where you're going with that. So just a sake of time, I understand the when you have a lack of resources, it promotes you to want to conquer and enslave people. But it's based off the Diop theory. I just don't want you to get too deep into that.
We don't need a history lesson. You talking to smart people here, bro.
No history lesson. But I mean, there is an arms race that produces a certain kind of culture that you're able to dehumanize people and take their stuff, and you have a whole system of ethics in place to do that. Africans haven't really created a system of ethics where we can conquer people and not feel.
What you're saying is, right, Africa suffers from the same problem. We have no value added resources, whether it's human resources or anything else on the ground.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to say a few things before I can get up out of here, because I gotta go back to work, man.
So everybody has to go back to work now.
Oh yeah, I do. I literally do gotta go back.
See,
to work.
I don't know what you are moderating, guy. I don't understand. You just allow people to talk anyhow they like. If I want to start doing the same, then we might as well have a free ride. That's what we were doing earlier on. I think that's what we should have done. What is the point of making it orderly when you just favorably a few people to speak?
You're right. You're right.
If it's you have to you got to be aggressive too. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. So I shouldn't have. See, the point is, we say we want to be organized. Then when you try to organize stuff, you are agreeing. You are already submitting to disorganized.
You got the floor,
that's
bro.
fine. Then let me go now. Let me go now. Anybody that wants to rush out, I'm not giving any ground anymore. So my point is that see, keep quiet. Hey, what's wrong with you? If I go and flog you, see. Kezo, you said there's nothing people are doing to Africa. Just yesterday,
we have no value added.
You've had your say. Just yesterday, a French former intelligence officer on a news channel said that now that the French troops and ambassadors in Niger are no longer hostages in that country, that the French can now go on to carry out destabilization operation in secret. That's what he said in broad daylight. Not to mention what they are doing behind the scenes. Is it by coincidence that the Nigerian president from the UN meeting went to France almost on the same day? The French said they are going to leave this in Niger. So you have to read between the lines what is going on. That continent, our leaders and our people have been compromised, including Kezo himself. Because these people, they talk all kinds of stuff. They don't really care to truly understand why we are where we are. Clearly, there are things that are happening on that continent that other people have the same traits too. But they don't care to see that. They just say, oh, it's only black man. And they will go on to say there's nothing like Africa. Okay, there's nothing like humans too. You can say that all you want, because we have names. We are not called humans, are we? But there is something like there's a concept that they call Africa because it's a geographical expression. You can't deny that. So I don't understand this idea. There's something like Africa.
It's a meaningless. It's a meaningless distinction.
See, hold on. See, the thing is that
Kaiser, you gotta be more forceful with these Nigerians. They only understand violence.
Stop it. African Americans, you guys need to pay attention. You know, especially someone like Nilotic. These people, what they do is they just want to come into our African discussion. He's supposed to be African, but many of them subscribe to be partly. But I think he was the one that actually said
Brother,
he was Arabic.
Please
No,
get your main point across, because
I'm trying to dismantle some of the stuff they've said. So first is the clandestine stuff, which was clearly wrong. That is a false statement to say that they are not doing those things, because they themselves are saying it. And then secondly, is Africa doesn't exist. That is complete garbage, because clearly it's a geographical expression. It's on the map. It's right there. You can't even just come and start making arguments. In terms of us being divided, all our groups are divided. And we all have confirmed that some people have encounter with Asians, and we are proven to compete with them on any level, maybe even outperform them. So you have to do that hard work and think, why is it we are different?
Yeah, you've told us.
No, Kaiser. Let's elder talk. You know
No,
how
he's finished.
You should do the hard work. Don't be lazy and just say low IQ. Our collective intelligence is low. The reason why our collective intelligence is low is because as a group, we have not been subjected to conditions that would make us set our differences aside, come together and build. That is the reason why.
So shitting in the street isn't enough to make you build toilets and infrastructure?
Because what you don't understand about colonization is that it's
you know
not
what
a
colonization was, right? Let me give you an example.
Colonization, I know what colonization is. Let me finish. Stop interrupting me, man. Let me finish my point, because you guys have had your say.
You're gonna finish, but I need to just let the chat know something. So we're gonna go for 30 more minutes. Let's try to narrow things down. We're kind of broad. We have focused. We have got to the point of narrowing this discussion about IQ, leadership. Let's try to keep it around those two things.
Yeah, and also tell this guy to stop talking too long, man.
Hey,
He's been talking for 5 centuries.
Stop. Let me finish talking. See, in terms of and this, let me go to the areas of solution, because clearly also for all this stuff they talk about that IQ and all that nonsense, it doesn't apply to us at all. Like you said earlier on, security, technological revolution, and just a little bit of the continental loyalty will go a long way. Because I agree with the idea that I always say it all the time. And to be fair, sometimes I wonder whether you are reading my script. No excuse, because I've always argued for we have to secure ourselves as a people, and we have to have a technological revolution whereby vast majority of our people have to be going to tech. They like it or not. Even if you are not very clever, you still go into tech anyway. And that is the only part for us to get out of the mess we are in. If you check the map of the research that is being done in the world, Africa is not present. If you check most...
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, brother.
You're just saying everything I've said, right?
No. The reason, but no. You are not. You didn't say.
Thank you, brother.
See what he's saying.
Land your plane, bro.
Yo, shoot is playing out the sky, man. Shoot it out the sky.
Tonight.
If this how long you take to finish, I feel sorry for your wife, bro.
No excuse. If this is what you call supporting, and because you actually supported some of my ideas, and you are interested in listening to people that talk rubbish.
Tonight. Hold on.
Please let them go ahead then. Let them come and carry on with their rubbish.
Real quick, because I don't want things to get lost. Okay, we have to have at this point of the string, we have to have an intellectual conversation. Some people are going to be able to contribute to that, some are not. So you know what I mean, if you're not at an intellectual level, if you're not at an intellectual level for the discussion, you know what I mean, I'm just gonna have to like rotate the people that can actually contribute, because this is the latter half. So I want to say something, because no one has really pushed back hard enough on this lack of IQ. We deal with this. I'll let you could go after me. We deal with this in the United States when we talk about SAT scores, ACT scores, or these standardized tests, and they say the reason why blacks, let's say, for example, don't perform well. just because you don't perform well on these tests does not mean that you doesn't mean that you can succeed. And so using, in my opinion, using low IQ, using the excuse of low IQ is an excuse. We've been called 3/5 human. We've been talked about our lack of knowledge, but it was only based on because we wasn't getting the education. So Africa has the books. They have the physics books. They have the math books. They have the chemistry books. They have people that go to Europe, the United States, and get educated and come back home.
And those people don't do shit, bro. I'm so telling you. I was in Uganda. I'm telling you. I was in Uganda in Kareki. Was it Kareki? I'm not gonna say where exactly I was at. I was in Kareki.
And real quick before you go in, this is pretty much you closing.
Yeah, because
right?
I'm about to jump after this. Yeah, exactly. Because when I'm in the schools, I'm going to the local schools. I'm talking to the people. I'm talking to the teachers. Not only are the teachers not being paid, bro. Understand this. So you trying to teach the next generation of people. The government is not. Is the government's job is to make sure that you get paid. They had teachers that didn't get paid for almost 3 months, 4 months. How can you expect a man to come in here necessarily and do his job correctly when you don't even pay him? That's the first issue we talking about when you get to the continent. The first issue. All right, the second issue is I told you, I'm looking at these books. I'm looking at the books. It literally said, why does a duck have web feet? Because God willed it so. What kind of bullshit is that? Like, that's what I'm saying. If you got your kid believing God willed it so, that's why a duck got web feet, and you compete your child is competing against the little Arab kid necessarily, or the Chinese kid or a white kid in Europe. Your kid is outclassed on 4 or 5 different levels. That's the actual problem. When you go to the continent, you got the government is not putting the money where it's supposed to go to, which is education, right? And then when the people do leave these countries, right? Well, but when you do graduate, I'm talking to people who got necessarily actual genuine degrees. I'm talking about genuine, like, oh, I graduated computer science, top of my class, and I'm looking at the top of my class picture with the awards. I'm telling you, the problem is he can't get a job. He can't get a job. So he got to go to someplace else necessarily to make a living, at least with his skill set that he got, right? So the problem is it's a twofold problem or a threefold problem. From the educational level on the little end for the kids, like I'm telling you, it's not the schools that they have in Africa are not, they're colonial schools. They're not actual schools for learning. They're colonial schools and model and in training. They're not going to build you the generation of tomorrow. It's going to build you more slaves. That's what it's built to do, and that's what it's been doing. That's the problem. I'm gonna go ahead and go though.
I appreciate it, bro. All right, man. Who wanna go next?
Yeah, let me go ahead. I got to go and bust a nut. But basically, right, when you look at this whole situation, when you look at this, right, so to Niger, right, this nigga can't do first principle reasoning. He just kept talking about narratives. Oh, story, they do this, do that. You ended up agreeing with me. Just now you're trying to pander to these Africans. I never said Africans can never be high IQ. Never said that. And also, just to clarify, I don't care about the white man's tests. When I say low IQ, this is a Kaiserorian created term to just means we lack an intellectual basis, right? Even our culture lacks it, right? So you got, as a brother mentioned, when you go to Africa, there's no critical thinking. You ask an African, a question, instead of answering it straightforward with logic, they start telling you, photosynthesis, also known as curriculus, blah, blah, blah. They start regurgitating stuff that they read from a textbook as opposed to thinking, right? So the issue in Africa is thinking. Another issue is tribalism, right? These people can easily be controlled because you are from their tribe, and that will not change unless Africans don't have the right to vote, right? Now, the next thing here is industrialization. That's the only thing that's keeping us backwards. France is not an enemy. This is just a narrative problem. Even if you kick them out, you'll just be poorer because now you've got no one to mine your goods for you. That's the reality, right? You can hate me on me all you want, but no black presenter mentioned that there was a company called Rania that's mining and owns 70% of the mines. All the black Africans were just saying, oh, France is bad, France is bad. No, France is a business
this
nation.
guy just say France
right?
is not
Hang
an
on.
enemy.
Let me finish my point, okay?
Jesus Christ.
No, name me one black African media actually mentioned the ownership of the uranium. None of them. Because you guys were just crying about how white man is controlling everything. No, you should be lucky he's in your country to develop it. Niger will be way worse without it. But anyway, shout out to me. Hopefully Africans will raise their IQ one day.
Hey, Kaizen, real quick, man. You can take 10. You can take 10 engineers from Black America and give them a book on how to build a crane or how to build a drill to drill through the soil. You can read a book.
No, you can't. So let me tell you why, right? Right now, okay, I'll show you later on. Africa, right, has open sewers. If you think an African country can't have an enclosed sewer system, how do you think they're going to mine anything? This is no cap. The lowest hanging fruits Africans can't resolve. Open sewers everywhere.
Excuses.
I've moved into a really hang on, brother. I've moved to a really high end neighborhood. I'm going to show it. Everything is good here. There's no dusties. Everything is clean, beautiful, fat, and flourishing. Right? You go to I go leave my estate. I just see open sewers all over the place. Africans can't even do the simple
But you're
stuff.
missing a point, though. All it takes
corruption.
all it takes is for them to open a book.
No, it's not. It's not just
yes,
that.
it
It's
is.
corruption. No, hang on. Just to answer the last question, I gotta go.
Watch a YouTube video.
No, 1 second, brother. The last point is corruption, right? Before China came into Africa, so-called Africa, all these people, these companies were fake companies. Yeah, they got educated people, but they used to steal the money, cipher it, put it through Cayman Islands and all over the Caribbean. So China actually allowed Africa to develop because they didn't allow Africans to control the money. You give an African the money, they'll steal it. You give African information, they'll go and hide that information from the other Africans. Africans are just corrupted individuals who, even when they're competent, can't do shit right.
Hey man, is this dude East African or Somali or something?
The guy is wallowing
No.
in
I'm not Dusty Somali. I'm a Kenyati.
Hey, appreciate you coming up, bro. Appreciate you coming up. I gotta rotate everybody. Who want to go next?
Yeah, I can go next. I thank you for having me, and thank you for all the people on the panel. I see most of the stuff he just said is on the micro level, and this is a problem. If you cannot think on a macro level, and from what your findings on the macro level, you channel it to the micro level, your decision making on the micro level will be faulty because you don't understand the bigger picture. Some of these type of discussions, and maybe he does, but he clearly comes here and talks as if he doesn't have any idea on what is going on the macro level. He actually went on to say that the French are not any problem. They are not enemies. I don't care about calling them enemies because they are doing what they are supposed to do for their people. We are the ones that are not doing what we are supposed to do for our people. But what they represent is an obstruction. They have to be removed for our progress. It's just as simple. Or they do business with us at a level that we can actually gain wealth from it. That is what they represent. But he didn't say that. He just said the French are not the problem, and who is going to buy from us? The Chinese, the Singaporeans, or the Indians. There are a lot of people to buy from us, or we buy from ourselves. We don't need anybody. So I don't understand the kind of thinking that some people have with all the degrees that they have. They can't seem to think clearly about this. I don't care about degrees. I don't care about politics, Democrats, communists, socialists, religion, or anything. All I care about is the survival of our people. And every time this will come around and speak all this big English and talk about all this stuff, in the end, that is not going to save us. What is going to save us is us securing ourselves, doing what other people have done, which is clearly embracing technology the way we will never have done since 400-500 years ago. We should have done that. We should have learned that already. Until we start doing those type of things, this stuff is not going to get out. We are not going to get out of the mess we are in. In terms of addressing the micro level problem we face in our country of our leaders selling us out, to deal with that is...
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. You've been great tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.
Hey, can I go ahead? Who's next?
Who's speaking? Yeah,
I'll go ahead. I won't be long. I got to go. But
man, Magnesi, why did you insult the elder? You know how his ego is.
Hey, brother, I'm talking. Hey, check this out. What I want to say is this: that Africa has too many resources. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like I was bringing up Saudi Arabia in the Middle Eastern countries. Their main export they have is just oil. Africa has way beyond that. Even with the Congo, with the mineral made for the cell phones, they could have the world in a chokehold. All they have to do is know how to make a better brokerage, a better deal, and people are going to come over and sell the resources. That's all they have to do. And as far as the leadership, have a revolution, get the leadership out of there. The U.S. did it. Vietnam had to do it. China had to do it. All countries have to do that. Get the coons out, and then you can go somewhere from there. That's it.
No, you got a good point. I want to I want to kind of respond to something. You guys keep saying that Africa doesn't have the ability, the knowledge, the know-how. Even talked about the barriers of buying certain technology. African countries have enough money. If I could figure this out. If I'm a leader in an African country, I have $5 to $10 million to spend. I would just pay somebody from China, from India, or some of these engineers to come to the country. I'm gonna pay you. I'm gonna pay you to build us this plant. I'm gonna pay you to teach us, to show us the technology, or to mine the metal, to show us how to manipulate the metal, to create machinery that can obviously help us build and build and build. Even technology. You can countries talked about implementing programs to bring talented Black Americans, for example, to these countries, whether it's doctors, engineers, and things of that nature. So even if you want to make the argument that Africans don't have the IQ, etc., they have money to pay people to come there to build their country as well. So it's not an excuse. You know what I mean? They have
no excuse.
Yeah, the Japanese did it, but you can't get it on the black market.
My last point is Albert. Who was that? Albert Einstein helped us build a nuclear weapon that made the United States the most powerful country in the world still to this day. And he's from, I forgot where Einstein.
Germany.
He's from Germany. One person was pivotal in making us the greatest, powerfulest country in the world. So I'm gonna land on that, and whoever was going next.
No, I just wanted to say, Ben, no excuse, Alex. I'm very happy that actually people who still believe that we can better ourselves are here. They're pushing against it, and I'm very thankful that you're talking about that. It is possible nowadays in the global market, but the problem is that is next to the leaders. That is the second problem. The reason why, because the ideas you saying, you don't need a high degree or high IQ to come to this conclusion. But the problem is that even if we find people who wants to do it, they don't want to be the first one who do it, because in their mind, that is just the African perspective, in their mind, if they are the first one who changes the system, they are the one who don't gain the most from the system. Basically, they don't want to do the sacrificing. I'm not talking about the average guy in Africa. I'm talking about the middle to high class under the elites who could do it, who had the money, who would have the influence. But once again, there's that myth out there. Hey, if you are the first one who tried to change this, you are the first one who don't get anything from the table. You're not eating. I'm done. I just wanted to point that out because maybe you were at some of our discussions, and if you would, in some of those African discussion, and when you were part of those African discussion, you can find out or crystallize out, or that if you listen to those discussions, that it is that primordial fear. I don't know where it comes from. That if you do the first step, you're not eating. I just wanted to bring up that point. Maybe you have a good answer to it.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming up, bro. I'm gonna let other people close out. Appreciate you. All right. Alex, you want to go?
Let Mr. G go right now because he's been up here this whole time, haven't said. So I'll step back for a second and let Mr. G go. Oh, he bounced out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, there he is.
His connection.
Nope. different guy. All right. So anyway,
Yeah, was the icon
my
fire
closing
there?
argument.
Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna bow to Nakmizi's knowledge when it comes to a lot of this, but when it comes to the African continent and the individual countries within it, there's a thing where you guys are gonna wind up having to grab your nuts and actually fight for your situations. Each individual situation doesn't matter what country you're in. Okay. You have corrupt leadership. You have all the assets in the world that you can possibly control everything. Everybody takes your minerals and resells it on the open market. I don't care if you got to deal with France. So what? Break it. Kick them out of your country and break it. Go out to the open market. Like No Excuse said, hire a couple engineers, develop the equipment you need to mine it yourself. It just seems like there's a lack of initiative and effort when it comes to wanting to actually be independent as individual countries or overall uniting. It's a whole bunch of infighting. And I don't get it. You guys have been around longer than any other continent, but you guys are still the only ones that are broken up and can't get it together. I'm going to leave it at that and let Nakmizi finish up with his closing.
Oh, brother, I wasn't gonna close. I just wanted to ask No Excuses if he could bring Icon Fire up. He's a Jamaican that called me the hard R on a stream. I want to see what
he needs to come back up. He popped in and popped out.
Icon Fire, come up. No hard R tonight, brother, please.
All right. One man went to Mo. You can close out.
All right. Thank you for having me. I only really came in halfway into your stream, so if I'm out of tune with what's been discussed, then you have to excuse that. But to the broader narrative space, because a lot of these conversations really only circulates around one singularity, really, which is the black thrust. So to that, I saw the image in the background, a white Zimbabwean Miss Zimbabwe and a black sort of person Miss whatever it is, European country. We've even had a Nigerian mixed race person be Miss Japan, which is quite a thing. That's really a leap into the future. But all of that, they say the future of the world is coffee color. Do you understand? Is that sort of a hybrid of that mesh of all racial types evolving into some sort of like a hybrid sort of humanity with an indistinguishable racial coloration? So that's the future that's been projected. Certainly not a future that I am looking forward to, because I take great pride. I take rather great pride, of course, being an Oyo man from Oyo laughing. I cannot think of anything better. So I'm happy for you to have your coffee color world, so long as I'm a black Yoruba man from Oyo laughing. So that I insist on. And really, when I had my interjection when I came in earlier, the black narrative necessarily has to coalesce under one singularity. There has to be one storyline. Otherwise, it's a mishmash of everything, and it has no coherence, and you are then easy picking for whoever is looking to pick at you. So the black narrative has to coalesce under one singularity. And that singularity necessarily has to be from the source. It cannot be some sort of a colored down perception, which is the diasporic black thrust. It has to be an African-centric outlook. So rather than trying to say, oh, because I'm in America, because I'm in oh, sorry, I've got children in the background. I'm sure you can hear that. So rather than say, oh, because I'm in America, because I'm in Germany, because I'm in XYZ, and because you have been colored by whatever it is, the learnings and the cultures of that space, and you are battling for your emancipation within that space, and then you think that is where black evolution is. No, black evolution is where the African black has evolved to. And whatever diasporic experiences you may have, you have to bring that under that black African umbrella and then that is the thrust. That is the singularity, and it's a Black African narrative. So very quickly, the diasporic Blacks, the African Americans, or however they term themselves, they have to fall under that Black narrative, which is an African narrative. I don't want to narrow it down to a Nigerian narrative, but they have to fall under that cusp in order for us to have a real potency within the international space.
Okay, one man.
Yeah, we're never linking up onto no African shit. Like, the African shit don't even work in Africa, bro. You're a Yoruba man, super chatting, and thank you for the super chat. You're super chatting in English pounds, brother. Practice what you preach. Go back to Yoruba land.
All right. Let me get Ben. Did you get the close?
Oh yeah, man. I pretty much said what I was going to say. You know, what's up now, man? This your last show, right? You said.
Now, this ain't my last show, but I'll probably do maybe one or two more. But I'm done with this YouTube jump off. I'm just looking out for my man. I like his show. I like the way he narrates it, or at least regulates it. So that's why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Show love. Yo, subscribe to No Excuses Entertainment. He does actual what is it, Afro Sundays or something like that?
The Afro Sundays.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. So he's up and coming. He's knowledgeable. Subscribe to the homie, super chat the homie, and you know what I'm saying? That's what it is.
Here's I Can Fire. I'm gonna drop you guys that closed already. So appreciate y'all coming up. Let me see. Was that the one you was
Irish
waiting for?
Icon Fire. Yes. Irish Icon Fire. Watton Brethren.
Yo, good afternoon, my people. Not Measy. If you call me Irish again, I might have to really disrespect you, bro. You feel me? Don't call me no goddamn Irish, man. You feel me?
If you apologize for using a hard R, I won't call you Irish again.
It wasn't a hard R, bro. It was a A. Strong with you.
All right, man.
Yeah. So my people, if y'all listen back Kaizo stream and to Niger stream and all of them streams, you can go back and see that a lot of you have to and are coming to the conclusions that I've given. You feel me? Everybody, all the routes y'all taking, it's still gonna take you back to how to transform these kids through generations. This 500-year-old colonization is 500 years old. So what it is, it's perfected and over perfected and all that stuff. So we have to understand that the way that it's perfected is it's real because they are rich and we are poor in terms of this 2020 financial aspect. But gold and precious metals overwhelm those finances if you know how to use it. You feel me? But what I'm trying to say with us is we have a spiritual corruption in all of us brain, and it spreads like a disease and it revolves. You feel me? And it's a spiritual corruption where God is white and God is Arab. So you have a set of black people, their God is Arab. And you have a set that their God is white man. So that's our dilemma. That's what corrupting us. It makes us stupid. It makes us bow to them. It makes us give them honor because the very thing that you love the most look like them. You feel me? So we have to deal with that. Also, intensify education, and also we have to pay more focus on de-corrupting our women. You feel me? We have to pay attention more on um making the young lady, the young black lady, clean. You feel me? Because if you destroy her, you keep the destruction of us perpetuating. If you clean her up, you stop the destruction of us, the men. You feel me?
Right.
But
In
brother,
terms of
why the woman, not the man? Don't you think the man leads the woman? Like the lion, man, male have to lead the woman, male. So I
No,
think we
yeah,
should
he
put
but
has
more
that's
he has
blame
a
on
after
great
ourselves.
yeah,
he
but
has a great
that's
point.
after hold on. But that's after she trained you.
You're right, brother. You're right what you're saying.
You feel me? After she
Facts,
trained
facts.
you, you go be a man. After she
Every
trained you, you go be a man, bro.
every
5 year
only
old.
let me piggyback on what you said, Icon.
Yes,
Every
sir.
every country that thrives, they keep their woman they're keeping their woman pure.
Sacred.
White men did it during slavery. Their woman was pure. They made the blacks women their concubines, pretty much their sexual objects. When you go to the Middle East, where
Yes, sir.
prostitution is heavy, in these Arab
It's
countries, the
not. It's
prostitutes is
not
not
their
their
woman.
women. The prostitutes are women from these other countries. They keep their women pure, and they basically slut out everybody else. So to your point is that is a key to a strong nation, like you
Yeah,
worded it.
it's like this. It's like this. If you don't train those young ladies to be patriots to their country and their land, they will grow young men who are not patriots to their country and their land. You make a woman know prove love her ownership, own her color, own her hair, make her love her hair, love her color. She will train her little boy and her little girl before they get to the daddy's hand. She will institute those instructions. You feel me? Or she can teach him how to be a wretch, a thief, a scumbag, a piece of nothing, like
And brother,
a lot of us.
sorry, brother, I can't. Where does that come from? It comes from self-hate from the woman, right? If the woman have got self-hate, how is she gonna teach a young black male to s- love
To
himself,
love.
you know, and be important?
So I'm saying that we the men, to me, all right, look, Pan Africanism, right? It's like in the whole Pan Africanism, it's like biracial, it's like 80% men or 90% men in this whole Pan African movement from ever since. So the woman has always um um what you'd call distant themselves from. It's like they have been trained by the slave master for survival, and survival is don't make the enslaver mad. You feel me? So she is living a life where she is training everybody not to make them mad. So she grow us that way also. I'm talking boys in general, men in general, including Africa. You feel me? She went through that. Now, a lot of us don't talk about what the woman went through. And these enslavers, they focus on the woman like a horse. You whip her, you ride her, and break her. And and then she will bring the fold, that's the pony. She will call the pony for both of them to eat out of your hand. That's what the white man did.
Great points, brother. Thank you so much for your points.
I
The
wasn't
movie
done
of
though, but
bomb
go ahead.
class.
Yeah, but thank you. I know
For
say
for
I
for,
know
for
I
top
know
and
that you're.
for time's sake, you know what I mean? We passed 3 hours. I want to kind of wrap it up. I know you probably came in a little on the late end.
So my answer is Black Americans. If 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 you really want to change, you have to judge each other on a Pan-African level. You have to enforce Pan-Africanism to your woman. They are the ones who are denying Pan-Africanism in the black world. You feel me? They are the least wanting to be known as that. You feel me? So our problem is the black woman in America is not choosing consciousness, because Malcolm X was there for males just like females. How much females have gravitated to what Malcolm X have always been saying? Because they're still wearing wigs. You feel me? So what I'm trying to say is the manosphere is great because we need to give women accountability in terms of where are we going? Do we want to win or no? You feel me? And are we going to make sacrifices? And first of all, we're in your own here, and loving your own people is not no sacrifice. You feel me? All right. So schooling, hold on. So schooling.
Thank you, brother. You've been great for tonight, brother. Thank you. Go drink an Irish Moss. Go drink an Irish Moss.
I just had a solution where Black Americans can gravitate, garnish some type of money. So what I'm saying is, you could use your money just like the white man and influence the ministries of education in Africa in terms of dictating what to teach by financing them. That's a broad brush of what I'm saying. Thank you.
All right, we got you. All
That's
right.
quite interesting.
Appreciate you, bro. All
That
right,
was gibberish.
I see. Let me drop. I'm gonna drop the guys that had a chance to close because I gotta get some rest. So
Yeah, I just want to say, but I don't. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll say. The brother, what he's saying, we have to bear in mind, he makes some bit of sense. Because, when you listen to, like, a couple of weeks ago with the Somali woman talking about a man slept her, turned out to be lie, but she's following the Western standard way of, not our ways of how we're supposed to teach our children, right? And then recently, I don't know, brother, if you heard, there was a woman that tried to go into a shop in Peckham, steal some hair product, and got strangled, So the brother is a bit on point, and that's a lot of confusion, with what we are, where our suffering lies, as African people. And you have to think about it as African people. We do understand us African people have got minerals, but I don't think all our problem is minerals, when you just, what's Sahel and, Burkina Faso, all of these countries, Niger and that, right? All of this, for example, all of this African, it's not just about minerals, brother. It's about brainwashing. We've been brainwashed, bruv. We've been brainwashed to believe we're less than human beings, and this is how we are in this situation.
That's true.
We have no value, brother. We know that. Look, even the white man, like the British English white man, will say, "I have got 3 lions on their shirts." No African will say, "What are you talking about? You have 3 lions. There's not even no lions in your continent." But it's just a level of disrespect, Even, what I'm saying? Like, and the reason I'm bringing up African wildlife and heritage, yeah, it is our heritage, Once there was a time we were putting zoos in Belgium, what I'm saying? Right now, you have majority of African animals in the zoos, and nobody gives a damn, And reason I know people just say, it's just animals, but what it is, bro, is our heritage. This is disrespectful to a whole race, to be quiet. And when you put, if we two came together as one race or one nation, we'd be the biggest nation, because you know how we are, brother. In the next couple of years, we're gonna probably have more kids. And yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. That we don't like it ourselves, bro. And I know it's the women, and the men and everybody, involved, but I think it's mostly education. You know,
but that,
when
but
you
that,
look
but that,
when you're in Africa, let me just say the last thing,
oh,
brother.
go
When you're in
ahead.
Africa and you go to high school, they'll tell you what colonialism did to you was a favor. All I'm trying to say is that, you know, and I think we need to start with that, you know, block that education with colonialism telling us it was a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And
but
these kids in Africa running after a Jeep, you know, United Nations Jeep, like no honor. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy is gonna give me a kilo of rice and that, you know, it's disrespect. That's what I'm saying. It's disrespect.
all right, no, I appreciate you coming up. That's the point. You know, I've been trying to get across with African Americans can be the leaders and big brothers and big sisters to a lot of things. We went through periods of time where we were brainwashed. We went through periods of times where we worship the white Jesus and things like that. I mean, people are quote unquote woke and more conscious. So we've been through all that, and since we've been through all that, you know, we've been trying to teach and show our fellow African brothers and sisters the way, and we get so much pushback from them, quote unquote, telling them what to do and how they should feel and how they should think. But we've been, in some ways, we've been where they were 10, 20, 30, 50 years ago. So we know the way. So I'm gonna let Rico go, and then I want Mac Measy to close us out.
Hey, no excuses in that. Thanks for letting me up. This has been a very eye-opening and enlightening conversation to me. I've enjoyed watching it in the background. And I'll just be real brief. I just wanted to say, again, I'm a Black American, so I'm not from Africa. Not you and no excuses, no. But I'll say this, for whatever I thought about the division between, I'll say, Black Americans, Canadian Americans, European Black Americans, and Africans, where I thought there was a divide after this conversation, I feel like the divide is just continuously growing. Because what I heard, like the last couple of gentlemen, is all I heard is we need to come up with solutions. And the first most pointless and useless solutions I heard they brought up was either religion or women. And if for some reason we were to resolve both of those problems 1000% tomorrow, that would do nothing to help or benefit Black Americans or Africans, because that's not our problem. So I literally, it just literally frustrating. It's like, oh, if Black Americans took all their resources and put into African countries, it would help them build them up. That sounds like a very altruistic and wishful view, but ain't no way in hell am I going to give up my resources to turn over to a country who hasn't shown the ability to manage the resources that they've already been given. It just defies logic. One of the leading problems in Africa, and I have no religion, so I don't care if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, if you're whatever. Africa has a problem with religion. The religion, just like in America, which was used for so many centuries to keep down and oppress minorities through religion by making us believe into something that was for the oppressors, they do the same thing in Africa. They do the same thing. It's different religions, but it's still religion. It's some sort of belief, and people are not helping themselves. They're not even identifying the problem. I hear some of the problems being brought out, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I also come from the belief they talk about BRICS, this, that, and whatever. At the end of the day, one thing about America will always hold the cards, is we are the world's leading producers of weaponry. Exactly. We sell weapons to the world. We sell, and what we do is we'll sell them antiquated. So Africa can have all the resources in the world. We make more fucking bullets. We make more bullets. And as long as you are the world's leading military industrial complex, you own everything. We sell, all they do in Africa is They go to Niger. Niger, oh, we're not going to deal with you no more, U.S. Fine, we're going to sell. We're not selling you no more weapons, and we're going to sell them to your enemies. They keep that conflict going because, as Will said earlier, Africa is a very tribal continent. They are. So I think in some ways, I think if we are to help, we need to help as a separate entity, because the bottom line is Black Americans, we are in the room if we're not at the table. Africans not even in the fucking room. So we're in the room of power. We may not be at the table. Africans aren't even in the room. So why should we leave the room of power to go outside with them and be locked out? That just makes no sense. But I think it was a good conversation. I really appreciated hearing all the different voices. But I'll just say this. No way in hell. I just see these conversations, not that this conversation is creating it, but hearing the conversation, it's like we're further than we were 50 years ago.
You brought up,
we were more unified. The gap has widened.
You brought up something. You brought up something, and I want to respond to Raybo if you listening, because she was so prideful on how much power some of these African countries have. You know what power is? Power is when Asians get discriminated in the United States, and the phone call China, Japan could make, or South Korea could make to their U.S. counterparts and say, "What's going on? What's up with this hatred towards Asians?" And the Asian bill gets passed.
Yeah.
When something happens to Black people, what power do African countries have to get the United States to pass a bill? So people have this false sense of power in Africa, the ones that want to pump their chest out, but in reality, is fluff. So I just wanted to
right. And that's a great point. And even speaking to that is like, at what point do they even have any inclination? If the voice of the Black diaspora should be African, then at what point, what evidence have I ever seen where they've reached out to the U.S. government? Or I think Black people are in France right now have been mistreated for years. I don't hear any African nations speaking to the French government, the U.S. government, the Canadian government. So when we are in these lands outside of the motherland, we must endure alone. But yet somehow we should be helping them within their lands when they've done nothing for us within ours. I don't think Black Americans look to Africa to help us because they never have. We've never seen them do it unless I've missed a history lesson.
They don't even know how to take advantage of knowing that Black people will be willing to come there. That's talented. They don't even know how to take advantage of that.
Yeah. So that what I said, and I'm not blaming everything on Africa. I'm just saying they're over there independently in their own sense of tribalism, thinking of self, but yet would say, well, if Black Americans would do this and we should be the voice. I'm like, you're fucking nuts. I'm not going to follow failure. Show me success. And I think, like you said, the best and brightest of Black America would come in droves. Show me success. The closest I heard is when Akon ran the scam and he was, oh, African this, African that, I'm building this city, couldn't find out that's a damn scam. I'll follow it, but show me what I'm following. I just get nothing. But I don't want to hold on. I know you guys been on here a long time, but again, thank you. Great, great, great show. I can't wait to see and hear the next one. And you're doing something good with this series. You really are. But, they just tell them they just got to keep the conversations honest. We're not perfect. They're not perfect. But I'll take my imperfect over theirs any day of the week.
Facts. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. Nakmeezy, man. Close us out, brother.
And then there were two. Shout out to Uncle Rico. He should have pulled up earlier. He made a lot of great points, a lot of points that I used to speak about on my live streams when I used to speak about Africa and the lopsided Pan-Africanism, the lopsided activism that's been coming from the diaspora to the continent. So when that Yoruba Nigerian, and I figured he was Nigerian, was pretty much trying to little homie us, talking about how the originals have to be the voice. Meanwhile, he sounds like an Englishman. He's super chatting $2 from England. So he is actually the diaspora that he's talking about. You know, we are not the diaspora. Let's get that straight. The diaspora are Africans, first or second generation, that are out of Africa working and sending remittances back to their countries. We are the transatlantic slave trade diaspora, the African throwaways, which is why they never came to look for us. That's why this whole brother sister shit don't work. They don't care. And the ones that do tend to be Pan-African, but Pan-Africanism, when you talk about it, you always hear what? Investment. And that investment is never into the hoods of America and the other parts of the Black diaspora, transatlantic slave trade diaspora, like the Caribbean or South America with the Blacks. It's only send us your money to Africa and help us build it. Bro, one thing about us is that we do have pattern recognition. It seems like a lot of Africans lack that. So our pattern recognition in this case would be, yeah, we done seen Chinese, Arabs, and white people pump a lot of money into Africa. Y'all ain't do shit with it. So now you think you're gonna trick us to pump money into your economy when, like Uncle Rico said, y'all ain't never do shit for us? This is the meat and potatoes of it. So when an African from a country whose finances are run by like Indian families, like the Guptas, right? Whose president, I think, is Jacob Zuma, I think his name is. He came to prominence fighting against the discrimination in the mining industry in South Africa, rallying Black people to stand up to the white establishment that were running the mines. Why do I mention that? Because that country has been run by white people, going back to the Dutch Voortrekkers and the English that took over that shit. So Africa is powerless. And even if they had power, and I'm not going to say the whole Africa, if West and Central Africa had power, they wouldn't come and try to look for us. Why would they? They don't care. They got their own issues. So I can empathize with them. I can say, I want to see y'all win. And if you start winning, but we've been doing it in Black America. We got a long way to go. But I ain't giving y'all none of it either. So hands off our reparations. Don't talk down on our reparations. Don't talk about how we ain't this and how we can't practice racism because we don't have power. Africans are the face of global poverty, sickness, and docility. An African will only buck up against another African. They'll sell their own people down the river quick, fast, in a hurry. And there's remnants of that in Black America as well. But I'd rather deal with the fuckery that I know than fuckery that I don't know. And I'm gonna land my plane.
Man, appreciate it, man. Appreciate you coming up, man. Appreciate you, man, getting everybody to tune in, man, on this discussion, man. Learned a lot of perspectives, man, and overall, I feel like it was a very productive conversation. The fact of the matter is this: Zimbabwe. This example is it's a microcosm of what we've seen in Africa historically, meaning that the desperation of a lot of African countries forced them to coon their way to the top, so to speak. The formula has not worked and is not going to work. There is promise. There is potential with Africa. You know, BRICS. Rico made a good point, and I made this point as well. BRICS can only work when people lose confidence in the U.S. dollar. If people have to bet on any currency, they're still going to bet on U.S. dollar. Why? Because the U.S. dollar is strong because we are exporters of technology. So if we control the majority of important technology and our technology has to be purchased in dollars, guess what? The dollar is still important. When countries save money, invest money by buying government stocks and bonds. Our credit rating is highest in the world. So people are continuing to buy U.S. Treasury notes and Treasury bonds. So a lot, so on surface, BRICS sounds great. It has potential, but it's only going to work if people lose confidence in the dollar. That is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. It will take us losing a catastrophic war, for the dollar to be obsolete. And then again, we have strategically obtained the largest gold reserves in the world. We've always been 2 steps ahead. Even Saudi Arabia with oil, they wanted to stick it to us with raising the prices of oil. In the meantime, the U.S. buying Saudi oil and keeping ours. We have reserves. We probably secretly have larger natural gas and oil reserves in the world, and we're letting Saudi Arabia use all theirs up. So, as much as I dislike our history, our racism, and things of our oppressor, they're continue to be 2 steps ahead. We're as Americans, we're gonna have the largest oil reserves. We still lead in technology, so the dollar isn't going nowhere, and we have the largest gold supply, and we have, I would say, the largest nuclear arsenal, and probably the most advanced in space. So, and Black Americans, we're a part of that. I mean,
Bro, what's the guy, the top guy in the military? His name, he's a Black American, by the way, whatever you call it. The Secretary of Defense is a Black American, FBA. So behind the president, the most powerful military man on the planet is a Black American. So we should be proud of who we are, the legacy that we've created, coming from the bottom, as enslaved people. And we're not gonna let nobody try to knock us down and make us feel like we ain't the shit, because we are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. With that said, I'm gonna leave it at that, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Peace out.